Keeler Show today.
It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen?
Keeler's always in the know.
It makes me want to call him
And tell him where to go.
And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 1069 FM. This is Keeler.
Looks like there's an accumulation of snow out there.
I know, it's ridiculous.
And it's what would that be? Seedlings or pollen? It's not pollen. It would just be like all of the dandelion seedlings floating through the air, and they're like accumulating in our parking lot out here.
Yeah, it's like the cotton that grows out of the weeds in your backyard. They start out as dandelions, right? Yeah. And then they become the little.
I wonder if we could collect it all and make a sweatshirt. That would be nice. You never know.
So I had a game last night, and one of the coaches said, actually it was one of the fans, said, all right, Blue, we'll be ready to get going once it stops snowing out here. And again, same thing on the field. It all accumulates on the edge between the dirt and the grass there, and it starts to look like snow. Now, I think this is... To my memory, we're late for still having this. We're late in the season to still have this, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so. I think it's just typical. And even the canal, if you look at the canal, there's it
sits right on the water.
There's a swoop of pollen. It almost looks like there's been a chemical spill. Now, let me tell you, we're talking about this because there's another day where we're going to be looking at I got line 3 ringing, and Davey is running for stuff. It looked at we're gonna have another 88-degree day, close to 90-degree day, and a small amount of precipitation we've had during the month of May, and certainly nothing here in June. And I have a story, and we'll get into it coming up in a little bit about how it's actually we've reached a dangerous level, so they say, a dangerous level when it comes to a possible drought. What do we have in there, Jeff? How you doing in there?
Good. So we have a caller who I just hung up on. Please call back. He's going to explain what those things are.
Okay. Yeah. Those are not dandelion. The little things
he had the name of them.
You blow on.
Yeah, he had the name of them.
All right. Well, I hope he calls back.
So yeah, they're everywhere, and I was much worse yesterday. But I love being outside. But being outside every night for multiple hours now, like I'm just sucking all that stuff in. And I was so stuffed yesterday. My ear is still plugged today. I think I sound better. But, I mean, yesterday, the whole day, I just sounded like this. I mean, you could hear me all morning long.
And the extended stretch of hot, dry weather is rapidly leading to, in our area, we're not used to it, to potential drought conditions. Which will increase the chance of brush fires and even wildfires in our area. There's a big one happening in Canada right now, which is causing a little bit of a haze in our sky, the smoke from all of that.
Yeah.
This is the climatologist Mark Wasaki speaking to UpstateNewYork.com. I would say for the next 3 weeks we're in really deep trouble, he said. Really deep trouble. He is a climatologist and atmospheric science professor at Cornell University. We're at a high risk for wildfires. The U.S. Drought Monitor has not declared a drought in upstate New York, largely because a wetter than normal April in some areas did boost groundwater supplies and streams. But we are way down right now, and I wish that guy would call back. inadvertently hung up on.
It was an accident. And
Oh,
it was
I know you
something
didn't do it on
seedling.
purpose. I don't want you to tell us this.
But it was a something seedling. I didn't quite hear him. I was in a rush to get him on the air. Also, the professor's name, if he's talking about how hot it is, his name ought to be Wasabi, not Wasaki.
That's a good point. Yeah, and we're expecting more of that record heat again today. However, things are about to change. There's a story that goes through the whole thing up on our website at WIBX950.com.
Well, wait a minute. It's about to change. We're going to get some rain?
We may get a thunderstorm this afternoon, and we'll be at about close to 80 tomorrow with a slight chance of a shower. And then Sunday, full sun on Sunday, and 75, so cooler.
Yeah.
And then we go through a stretch of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe even Thursday where there's a chance of rain each day, more clouds than sun, and temperatures in the upper 60s.
So
we're going to get a little bit of relief and hopefully some rain.
Yeah, and you mentioned the relief there. I forgot to do it Wednesday night, but even Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, okay, so 3 of the last 4 nights, I have watered the lawn. And I'm telling you, even just a couple of days, and I'm not out there
Makes
for
a difference,
long.
yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the green is coming back. You can still save it at this point, but if it continues, I don't know if you can. And by the way, I'm only doing it in my front lawn because I have a pretty big backyard, so I'm not running the hose all the way out there. But
it's also really good for your water bill.
It's really not, but I thought to myself, it's so early in the summer. I don't want everything to be dried out and dead.
Well, and if you're planting anything,
it's not even summer. It's still spring.
Even the things that you've planted, I mean, it puts you in a really a rough position because you really have to water almost every single day.
So I was thinking about this last night too. Now I'm somebody who typically has always thought that like spring is half of March, April, and May, and then essentially, you know, your summer is the end of May, June, July, August, and to me, September is the beginning of fall. And I think this is why I always seem to think, like, technically, we still have 3 more weeks of spring, and we're almost 90 degrees. That's kind of wild when you think about that, right? Like, if we talked in the winter and we'd said, oh, you know, second half of spring, it's going to be 80 and 90 degrees every day. You go, no, there's no way. But really, it doesn't start for, 21st, 22nd?
The average high temperature for May is about 72 degrees. The average high for June is only about 75 to 78 degrees. So we are, we've had a much warmer spring, and that may be an indication of what we're going to get coming in the fall. There's certainly that possibility. I haven't. We've talked about this with Dr. Hall a little bit, and now you're seeing the Syracuse hospitals are hiring back nurses who had to be let go because they refused to get the COVID shot. Just as you walked away. Hi, WIBX. You're on the radio.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know what the seedlings are called, but that cotton is from a cottonwood tree.
Oh, it's from a cottonwood tree.
And it's a nuisance tree. And every spring we get them around my area, and it clogs that cotton is like snow in the air, and it clogs up air conditioners and pool filters, and they're just nasty trees.
Yeah, you're right. It clogs up pool filters terribly. In fact, they have this thing that you're supposed to put around your not your filter, but your the basket, and it's almost like a stocking. And when you look inside that thing, the stuff that gets collected, it is a nuisance. So, is this more like a bush than it is a tree, or?
No, they're huge trees. They can grow up to 25. Their roots can be like 25 feet in diameter. They tell you if you're going to plant one, don't plant it close to your house because it'll ruin your foundation because the roots are so long. But the roots, they say, grow as long as the tree grows high.
Wow, boy, that is something. Okay, what's your name? Where are you from, by the way?
My name is Jan, and I live in Southeast Utica.
All right, Jan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful weekend.
Welcome.
We're going to get a little. It's going to really this weekend. It's going to be beautiful so far. So,
Well,
okay.
I'll tell you, when the rain comes, that's when it knocks a lot of that cotton off. You see
right.
the cotton at the top of the trees. So
Okay.
watch out. You might get some more.
Might get some more. All
So
right.
it has nothing to do with the dandelions in your backyard, and then they become those.
It kind of looks.
No,
it
it
kind of
doesn't.
looks like that. The stuff that you'd blow at somebody in their face and then they'd sneeze.
It does, but
yeah.
no, it's a thicker, denser.
It is.
Cotton.
It is, and I'm telling you, you could shovel it in our parking lot out here. It's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
All
I
right.
believe
Thanks.
It.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. See
Why don't we have a cottonwood? What is it? A cottonwood tree?
I was wondering if the cottonwood tree grows and it's really bushy because I'll plant 6 of them along one side of my property.
Yeah, like a privacy
For
fence.
privacy. Yeah. Does it come with thorns? That would help.
So, why don't we take action and start burning these things down? You know, I know right now is not a great time because we have this near
It's funny,
drought, and they're
it's-
warning about wildfires.
It's funny how it's known as a nuisance tree. So I got to look that up.
That would also, in my mind, again, when I said that I thought it was late in the season for that, because my yard has already gone through the dandelions, and those weeds that pop up are gone too, which now in my mind I'm associating them as the source. And that's why I'm thinking they're gone from my yard. How is this stuff flying all over the sky?
Your dandelions will grow all summer long.
Oh, yeah?
That's not a seasonal. I mean,
that's funny because they come for me in like May and they're gone by June, July.
It helps when you mow.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's 'cause you just mow them over.
Well,
You don't see them if you keep up to it. They're gonna mow away.
I know the first couple times when I mow in the spring, you know, the grass looks great because it's well hydrated. You mow it, it looks level, and the next day there's just dandelions growing all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and part of that is just because in the springtime it's wetter, although it has not been for us.
Yeah.
Although April was certainly pretty wet. But in the springtime, you're getting more rain. So you have to mow your lawn sometimes twice a week in the spring. We haven't had much of that this year. To close this out, Mike says, it's depressing. June 21st is the first day of summer. After that, the daylight become shorter. And that is, we're heading towards it gets light early in the morning. And we're really still at 9 o'clock. It's still not completely pitch dark. Okay, talking about MVHS. There's a story in the Rome Sentinel today about MVHS, and they say that their contribution, and especially right now with all of the construction that is going on, that their contribution, economic activity, is annually about $1 billion. Think about that. Because when you think about all the procedures that are done, by the way, I had one yesterday. I'll talk about it. When you think about all the procedures that were done and all of the things that were, now you have construction happening. You have all of this going on. And they are saying that they are annually, each year, we're talking about $1 billion in economic activity. And serves as one of the largest employers in the Mohawk Valley. That story is in the Rome Sentinel today, front page, just below the fold. Yesterday, I had a procedure. Dave, have you ever had, you probably haven't, although you're getting up to that age. Have you ever had a stress test?
No.
I didn't really. You probably haven't had one either.
Actually, I did have one a few years ago. I don't remember the reason, but I did.
Okay, were you really gasping for air by the end of it?
Oh yeah, when you're on the treadmill and they start doing the ramp,
Holy crap!
That I think
first of all, I'm like, this is easy. I'm acing this. Everybody, my wife keeps saying you're out of shape. I expect any minute to get a phone call. They're gonna want to do surgery on you.
It changes quick though.
And then all of a sudden, she's like, "We're gonna wind it up for you a little bit. You're gonna be fine." Now, what you got to do, though, is we got to try to get to, what was it? I think mine was about 3 hours on the treadmill. It felt that way. And then she said, quick, roll over on the bed. No, not that way. I'm like, I'm going this way whether I like it or not. This is terrible. Holy crap.
Yeah, those. So I don't remember exactly why I had to have one at such a young age.
You know what happens is you get an EKG, and there can be abnormalities in those. And when that little blip happens, they get nervous, and they say, you know what? I'm sure you're okay, but just to be safe, let's check this. So you go in and you do it. You know, my age, it's probably I'm glad that I had it done, just because you every ache and pain you have, you're like, oh boy, is this the big one?
Well,
Elizabeth, I'm coming. Not a very good impression, but
when you said, was I gasping for air, I think that's the point. No matter what level of physical shape you're in.
So my wife was like, didn't you look this up before you went? I'm like, I thought, they said stress test. I'm like, yes, very stressed. I got a lot of work. I got things going on. Obviously, that's not the case, but it's clearly your heart. But they are trying to bring you to that point where they get your heart rate up, and they're going to keep jacking that up until you get to that rate. Now, if you may not complete the test. So in that case, there could be a problem. Yeah. And, I know people who have had to immediately go into surgery after having the stress test done. Because they discover something.
Which is scary.
Which is why you're doing it. That's why you're doing it. Because if you catch it in advance, it's like cancer. If you catch it in advance, it is most likely treatable.
So everything went well for you, though?
Yeah.
You were just a little tired.
It's the first time I've scored 98 on a test, and I can't remember how long it's been. And I'm going to tell you, because I used to run the Boilermaker. I used to do those things. Never really well. But I would do it, and it is so important. The first thing I thought about was taking the clothes off the treadmill and the rower. It's time to start using that, I think, and start exercising. Anyway, so it's little things like that. All the procedures that are done, all the things, all the people that work everywhere from the technicians to the doctors and the nurses, to the food service, to the construction that's going on right now. $1 billion in economic activity in the area. That's pretty darned impressive, I would say. And then a story out of I believe it's Manlius. I've been following this a little bit and not getting into it, but I finally dug in on this story. It's actually the Swan story. The Swan song out of Manlius, Davey. Have you seen that story? It's really pretty. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
So apparently, over there in Manlius, in their lake or pond, whatever they have
in town, there's a pond where they have swans. And
beautiful swans.
You can see it when you come into downtown.
Manlius.
Yes.
So the swans are beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. And I believe they're protected. But apparently there are these couple guys that thought they were ducks and thought they were fair game. I don't know what they were thinking. And they took the babies and took the mother swan, and on Memorial Day they had a cookout.
You're kidding me.
They butchered the mother swan and ate it.
Well, two of the babies were sold at Shop City, which is a store out there in Syracuse, and two of them were kept at one of the convicts' homes.
Well, I'm not sure we'll call them convict yet, but
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Sorry,
but you understand. We know what you're saying here. We know what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
So but I think they have them all back now. So
they're in the care of somebody from Cornell University who helped them before when they had problems.
Yeah, because they're babies and the mother has been taken away.
How stupid are these guys? How old are these guys?
Terrible.
One was 18, one was 17, and one was 16. The only reason why I know so much about this is because I watch the Syracuse News at night, and that's the big topic.
This has been all week long. This has been a huge story. On Memorial Day is when they had their barbecue. Oh, what are you having for dinner tonight? I'm having grilled swan. That's what they did.
I want to know how the heck they found out how to grill it. I mean, did they Google search it or Siri asked them?
Well, they thought it was.
Swan?
They didn't. They thought it was a duck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is
okay.
such
We're
a,
already starting at a disadvantage. Okay.
yeah, this is a great knock on the younger generation.
God Almighty! So they break into the pond. I don't know how they catch the swans, but the mother swan and the four swanlings. I don't know what you even call a little baby swan. And sadly, they butchered the mother and put it on their grill for Mother's Day or for Memorial Day. And they had what they thought they were eating was duck, and it was a beautiful swan.
This duck is a little dry, guys, isn't it? So they heard the story about Grandpa going out in the woods and hunting for his food or something like that.
You do it. I guess you do it the same way you would a turkey or a chicken, and then you have to feather it, and all of that has to be done. And they must have known what they were doing in regards to that, but they clearly did not know the difference between a duck and a swan. And here's the other part of this. Even if it was a duck, what they did was still illegal. They took someone else, and they took from a city pond or a village pond. I mean, whether it was a duck or a swan, it was still illegal. But swans, I believe, are protected. And now these four little baby swans have no mother.
So they're facing charges against the Manlius police. And from what I seen last night, the DEC is possibly going to have charges against them.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, young kids, craziness. Let me go to Tanya J. Powers, and this is an interesting story that Tanya had top of the hour. And Confederate soldier names are being removed from our military establishments. Tanya, good morning. What are your thoughts on this, and what do we know? Fort Bragg is in the in the spotlight right now.
Yes, that's the one that is being redesignated today to Fort Liberty. So as of today, it will not be Bragg anymore. It will be Fort Liberty. And here's how kind of all this came about. There was the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, and it mandated that the Naming Commission identify the military assets, military installations, forts, bases, whatever, that commemorate the Confederacy. Those were, of course, said, okay, we're going to change the names of the ones that were named to commemorate the Confederacy. Fort Bragg was among 9 Army installations that was identified to be redesignated. So there was the Commission's report, and after that, in August of 2021, the community members there at Fort Bragg, which is, not too far from Fayetteville, North Carolina, they were asked to give recommendations for a new name. They had a town hall meeting. They did an online survey, opened it up to the community and said, okay, what do you guys think? We're taking nominations.
Yeah.
Then they had other meetings with, people like the leaders of the community and asked, okay, put your 2 cents worth in here. That was in March and April of 2022. During a town hall meeting after that, not too long ago, the garrison commander said, they had identified Fort Bragg's 39 Medal of Honor recipients, also their other senior officers, non-commissioned officers, and, kind of putting all these in the pool of, okay, who should we pick? And said it was impossible to select one name from, one hero's name from all the other groups of, the heroes that they had identified here. They learned, how do you pick one? So they were kind of back and forth trying to figure out, okay, who do we name this after because all these people are deserving of this.
Yeah.
They decided to pick Fort Liberty, not as a random decision or anything, but it seemed to resonate, with the commission, the community members, that kind of stuff. They said, according to the Naming Commission's report, the Army was founded to achieve the ideal of liberty. The report says the word liberty is featured in the 82nd Airborne Division's song.
Mm-hmm.
It's also part of the Army Special Forces motto. So that seems to be kind of, how they landed on Fort Liberty.
Yeah.
So during a ceremony today, they're going to change the name from Fort Bragg to Fort Liberty.
Got it. I would wonder. I know you grew up in the South, and I don't think we in the North have the same understanding of all of this and affiliation. So, how are people in the South reacting to this?
Well, I haven't been able to talk to a lot of folks, about this particular one. I think a lot of the things that are named for folks during the Confederacy, I think a lot of us, especially now, may not even realize it.
Right.
Fort Bragg's namesake was Braxton Bragg, and Braxton Bragg was a Confederate general who also owned slaves.
Never would have. I never would have known that. I just know that is a defender of America, Fort Bragg.
Right. And if you look back over the history, especially in the South, obviously it would not be in the North, but in the South, there was a push many, many, many years after the Civil War to start renaming things naming things for, not renaming them, but naming things for, members, people who were active in the Confederacy, like leaders and, military folks, stuff like that. So that's why there's a ton of, Confederate associated, names. This was not an accident. Again, it's a huge history lesson that I won't bore you with at this point. Yeah. But if you look back over how this happened and the timing of this was not like a couple of years after the war. They wanted to commemorate the dead. This was many years after.
Okay.
And this was it was a concerted effort to do that. This was he, like I said, Braxton Bragg was a member of the Confederacy, like not just a member, but a general. So that's the reason that they identified this military installation as one that they were going to redesignate.
Got it. Very interesting stuff, Tanya. We appreciate it, and that will happen later today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Tanya J. Powers from Fox News. Willie Waffle is the man with the plan, and he's with us right now. Willie, good morning.
Good morning. How's everything going today?
Good. I don't know what plan you have, but I'm sure it's a big one.
Well, my plan is I someday want to be Al Pacino. Have you guys talked about this week?
He's having another baby, right?
Yeah. 83-year-old Al Pacino
I can't believe
is going to be a daddy in like about a month. And people are asking, well, who's the mommy? Well, that would be his 29-year-old TV producer gal pal.
It amazes me that, the conversations must be, 29, I guess a woman is, at 29, is more mature than a male would be at 29, I guess. But we're talking decades of difference here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Al Pacino must be the most charming human being on the planet.
Yeah.
He just must be the most engaging human being who's ever walked our earth.
Hooah was that was his only comment after hearing that he was about to have another baby.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? He calls Robert De Niro and says, "Hey, Robert. Hey, Bobby. I know you just had a baby at 79. Well, guess what?
I
beat you again."
That is unbelievable. All right, I got to tell you, we watched the finale last night of Ted Lasso, and the finale.
Oh God, yeah.
And the finale this week of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Those two shows really incredibly well written, and Lasso was an emotional ending. It was those were really, really good shows.
Yeah, they're really, two of the biggest streaming options out there. And then, Mrs. Maisel, I think, has a place in history. It was really one of the first things that Amazon put out as a streaming program. And it was one of those first ones that people went, we can get into this and we can follow this just like we follow anything on regular television.
Yeah.
And, and Ted Lasso just, came about at the right time. If people remember, it came out right around, I think it was August of 2020. We're in the depths of the COVID crisis. And, here comes this character who's just full of love and happiness. And people just fell in love with the show.
Yeah.
And they might come back for another season. That's still kind of up in the air for Ted Lasso.
It is. I was kind of wondering. I thought they left the groundwork a little bit not completed, where, because the family, for the first time, I don't want to give anything away, but there were hints, is all I'm going to say, that maybe there could be a reuniting happening. So who knows? That would be very, very interesting. So I've also noticed Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it all comes down to how much money is Apple willing to lay out to bring them back for another season.
But for right now, it'll all be on hold because of the writer's strike.
Yeah, everything's on hold, man. It's getting crazy. You know, just this morning I was reading, the kid who plays Spider-Man, Tom Holland, was saying that they were working on Spider-Man 4, but now that the writer's strike happened, it's all on hold.
Wow. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
And there does not seem to be any end in sight as of right now. The other thing that I am seeing that is kind of interesting is push to get people back in the movie theaters.
Oh yeah, and I'm the first one to raise his hand and say, "Wow, was I wrong?" I honestly thought movie theaters were in a really horrible place after COVID, but it appears that they found kind of a business model. You know, they found that the big blockbusters are still going to rock and roll at the movie theater. Something like The Little Mermaid, something like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, when Indiana Jones comes out, it'll play big. Top Gun, played huge at theaters. So it's going to be more of an event now. I think that the movies that are going to find themselves streaming now are kind of those mid-level movies, those Oscar bait type movies. Those are the ones that they're having trouble in theaters now. But your big blockbusters are doing well, and it's keeping movie theaters going.
One that's coming out this weekend, Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, and this is really cool. So this is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it's an animated film, but it's a traditional 2D kind of hand-drawn animated film, and it just looks amazing. And people might remember, this is a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which came out a couple years ago, and it takes us into the life of a different Spider-Man. People who are big fans of the comic books know that Miles Morales is a young Spider-Man, kind of the successor, if you will, or a different Spider-Man than the one that we've known from Peter Parker. And this movie really focuses on him and how he has met these different Spider-Men from different multiverses that are around out in the ether, if you will. And, the movie kind of returns back to the idea that he's a kid. He's in school. He's trying to balance his parents, his schoolwork, and trying to get into college. Plus, he's trying to solve crime everywhere he goes. And the way the story goes is that his girlfriend Gwen Stacy, or at least who would be his girlfriend in a lot of the comic books, she is also joining up with this group that is all the Spider-Men from around the other universes who are trying to stop an evildoer who wants to take over all the universes. I know it's getting really deep, isn't it?
It is getting deep. It's getting very deep.
But here's the deal. It looks awesome. I mean, when I say it looks like a comic book come to life, that's really what they're going for. I mean, the way it's hand drawn, the way the action is drawn on the screen, the way that the colors kind of match with the moods and the tones of the scenes. I mean, you see all this kind of coming to life. And if you're a big comic book fan, you're loving it because it really is making it into art the way that a lot of the more modern comic books really are. And I think that's what wins you over. I think, just that compelling story, that compelling action. We're back to rooting for the kid to overcome all the obstacles that are in front of him. This is like a 3.5 waffle movie, if you ask me.
Wow. Okay, so this is one you want to get out and see. And then in theaters also, Boogeyman.
Yeah, Stephen King's back, baby. And, it was originally supposed to be a streaming picture. And it got such good reactions from audiences, test audiences, that they said, let's just put it into theaters. Because this is another type of movie that seems to be doing well in theaters post-COVID. The horror movie that brings out kids that want to just be scared to death. And this movie tries to do that. And I think it accomplished it in a lot of ways. It's really the story of this therapist played by Chris Messina. He's got 2 daughters. They're just having all sorts of problems after their mother passes away. It's very emotional. They're all struggling, and they happen to live in a big old creepy house that just looks like that place is going to be haunted. And sure enough, eventually things start to go bump in the night after one of this guy's clients comes in and tells him, everybody blames me for killing my kids, but it was the boogeyman. And now maybe the boogeyman is after the therapist and his family.
What do you give this one?
I'll give this one 3 waffles. I'll tell you, I like the way that it kind of builds and builds and builds. It's a nice kind of, almost like a slow burn where it starts to get a little creepier and a little creepier and a little creepier. And the build up to the big reveal of the boogeyman is the fun part. Not so much, once we kind of know what he is and where he is and what he's doing. But, hey, I go 3 waffles, and look out for little Vivian Lyra Blair, okay? She plays the little girl who is the most perfect scared little girl for any horror movie ever. And if you recognize her, you must be somebody who watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney Plus, because it's the little girl who played Princess Leia.
Okay, very cool. Listen, I've got we have a listener who's having a procedure done and is going to be laid up for a couple of weeks, and said, hey, give me some really good streaming options. And I know you have a couple here that are new. And then you tell me what you think.
I got to ask our listener, what do they like? What's their background? What do we talk? Are we talking about a guy our age? Are we talking about a 20-something female? Where do they lie on the spectrum?
I would say our age, and I'm thinking like FUBAR, this thing, the Schwarzenegger
That's
thing.
where I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arnold Schwarzenegger. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. It's the new Netflix show from Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's 8 episodes long, and he plays a CIA agent. He's been hiding this from his family for years and years and years, and he's about to retire, and he has all these plans to reconnect with his family and try to win back the wife he lost, when all of a sudden they pull him back for one more job, and what he doesn't know is that he has to extract another CIA agent who turns out to be his daughter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And that's when everything starts to fly, right? They've both been lying to each other for years. Neither one knew the other one was in the CIA. And since they're very similar in personality, they clash a lot. And, it's a traditional Arnold Schwarzenegger type product. Okay, it's going to have the bad puns. He's going to be more macho than macho can get. He's a 75-year-old guy playing a 65-year-old guy who can kick booty like he's still 25. And that's the fun part. So I would say that's a good thing to check out. What's something good? Well, Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen that at all.
Yeah, and you got how many seasons? How many seasons is that?
Well, they've had 3. They've had 3
so
seasons.
far.
Like this was the 3rd season. So I think that's a big one. I'll tell you. You know what I watched, and if our friend has ESPN Plus or can watch it on demand, I saw this great documentary this week. It's a 2-part documentary about the American Gladiators TV show. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, and the fun part was, not the fun part. It's kind of sad when I think about it, but they go behind the scenes and they tell you everything that went into putting on this show and how everybody was taken advantage of, everybody was screwed over, everybody was cheated, and half of them are so bitter they don't even want to be in the documentary. And they really talk about how everything kind of started as kind of these games that were played at union picnics for the steel workers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, back in the 80s, and then how it grew into what at one time was the biggest cable show out there.
Wow, yeah, and that's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, that's on ESPN Plus. So it's part of their 30 for 30 series. They're playing it on ESPN, but you can also catch it on their streaming option, ESPN Plus.
I will pass it along, Willie. Awesome stuff. Have a wonderful weekend and a great week. Thanks, man.
Hey, man. Talk to you next week about Transformers.
Okay, it'll be big. Thank you. Willie Waffle, who knows so much about so much. Gotta love it. All right, I got a break. WIBX, Utica, Rome. It's 7 o'clock.
Thanks for getting it done. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The Senate's passed a bill raising the nation's debt limit. President Biden, in a statement congratulating Congress, says no one gets everything they want in a negotiation, but make no mistake, this bipartisan agreement is a big win for our economy and the American people.
It was a congressional crunch to get the bill approved before the government collided with the debt ceiling on Monday. The Senate aligned with the House. The vote 63-36. All but 5 Democrats voted yes. 31 GOP members voted no. They were suspect of the plan.
Fox's Chad Pergam at the Capitol. The president plans to sign the bill today and address the nation about it at 7 p.m. Eastern. President Biden's back at the White House, joking about a fall in Colorado yesterday. He got sandbagged. Fox's Kevin Cork.
A trip over a sandbag on stage at the Air Force Academy graduation. Now, thankfully, the president was fine and he was helped up quickly. He seemed fine. The White House said as much. But the fall was fodder for critics.
Former President Trump calls the fall not inspiring and says he hopes President Biden wasn't hurt. He was in Iowa on the campaign trail.
Former President Donald Trump in Grimes, Iowa, spoke to backers as if the nomination was already his.
They're running for VP and cabinet. Maybe they are. But some of them won't happen, that I can tell you.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was in Salem, New Hampshire, telling his supporters America's troubles are due to what he calls entrenched elites.
They put their interest above your interest, and they put their interest above our nation's interest.
A recent Fox News poll has former President Trump leading Governor DeSantis by more than 2-1, with more hopefuls to declare next week. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Ukraine's military reports shooting down more than 30 Russian missiles and drones fired at or near the capital Kyiv today with no injuries reported. A Russian governor says 2 women in a car were killed by shelling across the border. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, you've heard me talk about Henry Repeating Arms and their incredible line of 200 rifles and shotguns. This company's owned by a family of true patriots who are so dedicated to our country that all of their products are made in America or they are not made at all. And they're also so loyal to their customers that they provide award-winning customer service. And by the way, they back their firearms with a lifetime warranty. Now, Henry makes a line of tribute edition rifles. You got to check these out. I love them. They honor the unsung heroes who serve our great nation, including active military, veterans, law enforcement, and sheriffs and firefighters and EMS, and so many more. Now, you can check them out for yourself. Go to their website, henryusa.com/tribute. And there's the Henry's Deluxe engraved limited edition rifles that are the crown jewels of any collection. Once an edition sells out, it's gone forever. Go to henryusa.com. You get a free catalog. You get free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and you're going to love these firearms.
We have mostly sunny skies and 63 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. Well, Utica police taking action to address a trouble spot in West Utica. It was the scene of a recent murder, a fatal drug overdose, and has been the source of several complaints from neighbors about drug trafficking. UPD conducting a search warrant at 813 Warren Street on Thursday. They arrested 3 people in connection with drug possession. Police say a quantity of both methamphetamine and heroin were located during the search. 41-year-old Stephen Creco, 40-year-old Christopher Valletto, and 39-year-old Aisha Dean Welch face various charges related to criminal possession of a controlled substance. Investigators say they also seized $900 in cash. That home on Warren Street was the scene of a homicide in April. Utica police responded to the home for a murder investigation after 49-year-old James Jackson of Utica was shot to death. Investigators say there were several people at the residence at the time of the shooting. They were able to develop a description of the suspect. Ultimately, a Pennsylvania man was taken into custody in connection with Jackson's murder, and UPD officials say they also recently responded to that location for a fatal drug overdose. You can read more on our website at WIBX950.com. A second Democrat has entered the race to try and unseat Republican Congressman Brandon Williams in 2024. Clemmy Harris, a former advisor to Governor David Patterson and a current resident of Camillus, says that a major part of his campaign will be trying to understand the priorities of the people who live in the 22nd Congressional District. Fellow Democrat Sarah Clee Hood entered the contest a few weeks ago. The 22nd District covers Madison, Oneida, and Onondaga counties, and a small portion of Oswego County. State police releasing the results of their latest Memorial Day weekend enforcement campaign from Friday, May 26th through Tuesday. There were over 13,400 tickets handed out for offenses like speeding, DWI, and distracted driving. Troopers also responded to more than 830 crashes. No deaths were reported, though, over the Memorial Day weekend in relation to automobile accidents. Last year, just under 14,000 tickets were issued during the Memorial Day weekend enforcement campaign. Mavis Discount Tire has reached a settlement agreement with some of the family members of those who were killed in the limousine crash nearly 5 years ago in Schoharie in October of 2018. An investigation revealed the accident was caused by a catastrophic brake failure. The Times-Union reports that the settlements are related to wrongful death lawsuits filed against Mavis because a local shop falsified a brake work invoice and also gave the vehicle a passing DMV inspection sticker without doing proper safety checks. Limousine operator Nauman Hussein was sentenced to prison earlier this week after being convicted of manslaughter. His sentence will range between 5 and 15 years. And a guard at Destiny USA Shopping Center fired after allegedly making a number of disturbing threats. The Post-Standard says that Bruce Levesque was assigned to work at the mall and told co-workers he wanted to shoot up the mall and the Syracuse Pride Parade that is happening on June 10th. His co-workers reported the threats, and Levesque was terminated after police were notified. The Onondaga County DA's office says he has not been charged with a crime. WIBX News Time is 7:06. Right now we have some sunshine and 64 degrees, warming up near 90 again today. Here's what we can expect.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. Today remains very warm. Few showers and thunderstorms developing this afternoon. Best chance north and east, to high of 87. Tonight, a lingering shower or thunderstorm near 65. Tomorrow, not as hot. Redeveloping showers and thunderstorms mainly late morning and early afternoon. Then mostly sunny, windy, and cooler late near 75. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
We have sunshine and 64 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:07. All right, in sports, the Mets might be getting things back on track. They sweep the spiraling Phillies. Yesterday's final 4-2. Max Scherzer earned his 5th win of the season. He surrendered 2 runs, only 1 earned, and struck out 9 batters over 7 innings. Mark Canha homered for the 2nd game in a row, a 2-run shot. Mets now 30-27, second in the National League East. They continue their 6-game homestand when they host the Toronto Blue Jays for a 3-game set beginning tonight at Citi Field. The Yankees looking to bounce back from a disappointing 1-0 loss to the Mariners in Seattle. They visit the LA Dodgers for the start of a 3-game series tonight. That's a classic matchup, Yankees-Dodgers. Out on the left coast, right-hander Luis Severino expected to make his 3rd start of the season. And veteran Clayton Kershaw is slated to start for the Dodgers. The Yankees currently 3rd in the AL East at 34-24. The Nuggets take Game 1 of the NBA Finals, an 11-point victory, 104-93. 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic finished with a triple-double, 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists. And Jamal Murray poured in 26 points for Denver. They lead 1-0. Game 2 coming up in Denver on Sunday. Well, the Heat could be getting an offensive boost back for Game 2. ESPN says guard Tyler Herro will continue to test his injured right hand and could return to the lineup for Game 2 on Sunday. As I mentioned, Patrick Kane undergoing a hip surgery, not a replacement, just a resurfacing. That is expected to take 4 to 6 months for him to recover. The 34-year-old finished last season as a member of the Rangers after being traded at the deadline by the Chicago Blackhawks. Ryan Blaney eyes the top spot in the NASCAR standings. The NASCAR Cup Series rolls into Madison, Illinois this weekend for the Enjoy Illinois 300. And Davis Riley leads the Memorial Tournament in Dublin after the first round. And it looks like that's Dublin, Ohio. Riley sits atop the leaderboard after shooting a 567 in the first round.
All right, we have a bunch to get to coming up this hour. We'll speak with the son of Ronald Reagan. Michael Reagan is talking about improving the lives of military members and their families. We'll do that. Also, Hobeika's free money question of the day. Chance for you to win $100 from the Hobeika Law Firm in WIBX. And Mayor Jackie Izzo, State of the City, coming up at WIBX.
The love of singing, incredible talent, and dedication to a passion for music define the greatest female vocalists of all time. Girl Singer is a buoyant musical tribute to them, showcasing amazingly talented local female singers that electrify the stage with these same qualities. For 2 weekends only, June 2nd through the 4th and June 8th through the 11th, Players of Utica presents Girl Singer, a tribute. It's a surefire musical hit featuring vocal stylings ranging from pop to blues to country western, to soul, to classics. You know the songs, and now hear them live on stage like you've never heard them before. Sponsored by New Hartford Eye Associates. That's June 2nd through the 4th and June 8th through the 11th. Get your tickets for Girl Singer at playersofutica.org. Call 315-724-7624 today.
Senior and student tickets are available with proper ID at both the evening and matinee performances.
Memorial Day savings are here, and that means time to upgrade for summer. Adirondack Home Furniture is overstocked in every department, so come take advantage of their amazing deals on sofas, dining sets, bedrooms, outdoor poly furniture, and more. Right now, take advantage of their lowest prices of the year on select items, or 4 years, 0% interest financing. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Something for every room, any size, inside and out. From modern to farmhouse, rustic to transitional, with free local delivery and a professional, knowledgeable staff, you'll have your dream home in no time. Plus, salespeople are non-commissioned, so you'll enjoy a relaxing, no-pressure experience. Celebrate Memorial Day and save big at Adirondack Home Furniture for living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, home office, and patio at their lowest prices of the year. Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com.
How far will the left go to win 2024? Will they send out more stimulus checks or give away trillions more to left-wing groups? The simple truth is they don't care if your retirement is eroded down to a fraction of its value. They just want to win. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I want to encourage you to diversify your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into a physical gold IRA. And the only company I recommend for gold IRAs is conservative-owned Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word HEDGE to 989898 to get their free info kit on gold IRAs. Do this now before Democrats have a chance to legislate away your life savings. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting HEDGE to the number 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. So use your agency. Take action now. Text the word HEDGE to the number 989898.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
In the June primary, Rome Mayor Jackie Izzo was running to keep steady strategic leadership working for Rome. Like 6 years and counting with no tax increase, $70 million in grant funding, $325 million in public and private sector investment, plus dozens of economic development victories, all while maintaining an A-plus financial rating. Beginning with early voting on June 17th, vote for the only endorsed Republican candidate. Vote Mayor Jackie Izzo for Rome. Leadership that's working. Paid for by friends of Jackie Izzo.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Refresh and renew your home this spring with Little Falls Lumber. They're fully stocked with secondary grade metal in all colors and 12-foot lengths. An affordable option for fixing utility sheds, roofs, or garages. Looking for lumber and tired of the warped pieces from the big box stores? Then go to Little Falls Lumber, where they stock only premium grade lumber. Stop in to one of their 3 convenient locations: Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady. Little Falls Lumber, helping you refresh and renew this spring. Call 315-823-2470 or visit littlefallslumber.com.
Buy direct from the manufacturer and make a splash with a new spa from Strong Spas, now open in Sangertown Square. Choose from over 100 ready-to-deliver spas in stock with new inventory weekly and prices slashed to move fast. Visit the largest spa showroom in New York State and ask about their many financing options. You have to see this showroom to believe it. Strong Spas. Experience the difference in person. Sangertown Square, New Hartford, or online at strongspas.com. Hurry, these spas won't last.
Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is a bacon or sausage egg croissant plus small seasoned potatoes for $3. It's the breakfast that don't miss. So if you did miss Wendy's breakfast, don't imagine. Fresh cracked eggs, sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, and block out those hot, buttery, flaky croissants. Croissants don't really make a sound, but if they did, for a breakfast that don't miss, Wendy's is that breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Select a request $3 breakfast deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders.
Hey, the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills is accepting new patients right now. The Falcon Clinic is the area's premier osteopathic medical clinic, and they're accepting new patients if you're in need of a new family doctor. Or in our case, which my dad was in need of a new family doctor, which we went to the Falcon Clinic, but at the same time was dealing with some issues where we just couldn't seem to figure it out. Something didn't make sense. So I cannot imagine the difference. I just can't describe, I guess, the difference when we went to the Falcon Clinic and Dr. Shemaleski, the thorough examination that was done. It was what we were asking for 6 months, and it was finally taken care of, and all has ended well up to this point. So if you're looking for a thorough investigation that gets to the bottom, the root of the problem, and then with a path going forward, with a strategy going forward, including an osteopathic approach, it's Dr. Shemaleski and the Falcon Clinic. And doctors all under one roof at the Falcon Clinic, Dr. Kosminski, Dr. Zielinski, everything from family practitioner to acupuncture to counseling, all there under one roof in Washington Mills. The Falcon Clinic. Call today, 315-507-4751. They are accepting new patients. Call today, falconclinic.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, I should also say that today is National... I'm going to let you run with it, Davey. You know what it is. Today is... Pull the mic up. Today is National...
Don't have your mojo day.
Don't have your mojo day. Yeah. Yeah.
What is today?
It's National Donut Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you knew that, man. We talked about it.
Dunkin' Donuts is giving away a free cinnamon donut.
Wonderful, as I'm going into a Daylight Donuts commercial.
Oh,
that's good.
Why cinnamon, though?
I don't know.
We can go to Daylight and get a donut.
Listen, the official coffee and donuts of Daylight Donuts. See, I asked for it. What does an attorney, all the attorney movies say? You never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Right.
So it's your fault. Daylight Donuts in New Hartford, and today is National Donut Day. And nobody celebrates that like Chuck Siddell and everybody over at Daylight Donuts. Coffee, espresso. The coffee is just so good. It is Seattle's best. The drive-thru. In and out, and you're on your way. No worry about the long lines because they're moving people through. Fresh donuts, fresh bagels made on the premises every morning. It's Daylight Donuts in New Hartford.
So a couple of comments here via the WIBX 950 mobile app. John in Bridgewater says, Jeff, you are right. Dandelions do not grow all summer long. And
Well, maybe that's the case. I don't know. I seem to feel like they pop up in my yard all year long. I'm picking them all year long, but I could be wrong.
FX in New Hartford says, what a load
Is
of...
it John in Bridgewater?
Yeah.
Then I must be wrong.
What a load of woke crap renaming Fort Bragg. You cannot run from your history.
You don't run from history. It's like the time we took the Fort Hitler and decided to change it. Listen, they fought the war. The South lost. You do not name military institutions after generals that tried to overthrow the nation.
I'm not
Can't even believe that was done in the first place. It is not a woke thing here. I'm sorry.
I'm not even going to...
Not even change. You're not changing history. Tell the story. Tell history. But you don't honor it. You're not going to put a statue out there, and that's what you have in the South. All of these statues. Don't even get me started. Notice how the mayor's staying right out of this.
I do find it interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things you think about.
They
That
lost
was
the war.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
What do we do? Well, and remember, this wasn't done right after the Civil War. We talked about that with Tanya earlier this morning. This came later on. This was a let's try to change history. That's what really happened. Let's change history and romanticize what happened during the Civil War. It is what it is. The North won. You don't put up statues and name military institutions after generals who fought against your country.
Obviously the difference here, and again, I'm not defending this. The difference here is that they were Americans, or
no, they tried to separate from America.
Well, their belief. Again, I want to be clear. I'm not defending.
You can't try to overthrow the nation and get a statue. That's just my take on it.
The other thing
Sorry, I don't think that's a woke. That's not a woke mentality. And what is woke anyway? Will someone please give me an absolute definition of that?
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
can't help you.
Being facetious.
But so I also could see it being something where, and again, I'm just totally making this up whole cloth to give you some kind of an analogy or an example, and I don't mean you specifically, Bill, but where they were in a debt ceiling fight and they went, all right, look, some Southern representatives or Senate members went, all right, we'll bite on this, but the next 3 military bases got to be after people we like. That I don't think the senator from New York said we should name it Fort Bragg.
Let's not forget black people couldn't drink in the same drinking fountain in the 1960s. Okay, let's not forget what this was really about. No, I'm not budging on this.
Oh, no, again, yeah. I'm not taking a contrarian point of view. I'm just
black athletes from the North had to stay in different hotels as late as the early 1970s.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Well, but the Civil War wasn't about slavery. Bull crap.
Yeah.
Anything further?
I was just giving you some different.
Oh, Jackie, you've got me in a mood today. This is probably the worst day to come in. This is terrible.
But again,
I've been drinking again. Not really.
I'm all on board with the. I don't understand why we named them these things in the first place.
That was your first. That was the mistake in the beginning. But it is what it is, and it's being changed. If that's woke, then I guess I'm for it. So, any other comments?
No other comments via the app at this moment, but I'll just throw it out there. I know she explained why it's being called Fort Liberty, but could we name it after somebody? I'm for naming after somebody of historical significance. If we're talking about changing history, right? That was his comment. You cannot run from your history. Then why don't we honor somebody? I understand the intent, and I don't think it's wrong to call it Fort Liberty, but why don't we come up with some names of people that we do want to honor, that we think as a society are deserving of that?
Okay. What time is this? So we've brought. Good morning. You can pull up on. I'm done. Jeff.
He's going to be 30.
Mayor Izzo. It's 30. Okay,
yeah.
so we can go right now.
Yeah.
Mayor Jackie Izzo. Wait a minute. Let's see before. Is that a comment on this, Davey? All right. I'll take one person on it. I'm not going to go deep into the whole thing. Is it John from where? Tell me where.
John.
What?
It's John from Bridgewater.
John in Bridgewater.
John,
Here he is.
Stopped at Dandelions.
John in Bridgewater. Good morning, John.
Hey, Bill, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I have no clue if dandelions grow, so I just threw that out there because I know you didn't know.
I don't
right?
listen. All I know is
they don't grow in the summer. I don't think because I don't remember mowing them in the summer.
Well, I guess we'll look that up. I just
All right,
feel
hey.
like I have one of those. I have one of those yards where I never can stop picking dandelions out of my backyard. So I
Really?
could be wrong.
You know,
I don't know.
I went through yesterday with mine. I haven't done nothing in 2 weeks. My grass is so dry, Bill. I called my wife out and I took a lighter just to see, and it started. I've never seen it this dry, but I've been hauling water from the creek, so I don't use my hose to water all her flowers.
Oh, so you bring it up. You know.
So I have the West Branch that runs down behind my house, so I just haul
okay.
water up.
That's perfect. Yeah,
But
that's
I do
awesome.
have an artesian well that, years ago, my road was a dirt road.
Yeah.
Farmers would bring the milk cans down, put it in the artesian well, and then the truck would come haul the cans away. And so that's where I dug my well in. So I'm not going to run out of water.
Yeah,
either
you'll
way,
be all right.
so.
Knock on wood, though. But you'll be okay. But this story that you're talking about comes from last hour, talking about how dry the ground is, and how we are really pretty close to a dangerous position where things are so dry. There's going to be a no burn order probably coming soon.
We've been up there since '89, and I've never seen it. We've had it dry, but nothing like that.
Can you imagine? Here we are. It wasn't even June yet, and our lawns were turning brown. This is unheard of.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, interesting stuff, John. Thank you,
I have
man.
no green grass at my house. It's all brown.
All right. Well, then we'll be just like Arizona.
I do have dandelions.
All right.
See you, Bill.
Thank you. Have a great weekend,
Bye-bye.
John. All right.
you
One
too.
final
Bye.
here. One final.
So, according to the Weather Network, these persistent plants can grow in just about any type of soil and climate. They bloom from May to October. However, peak season is essentially May and the first week of June.
Yes. What is that, Davey?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So they can come all season long, if you will, all summer long. But their peak season is topping. It's coming to an end, like basically right now.
All right. The things that attract people with attention deficit. That's us. We're the attention deficit people.
You never know what you're going to be talking about.
Pull it right up there, Mayor. Do you have dandelions in your yard?
I do, actually. and I
Hate 'em.
usually never have them, but yes. I
Yeah.
think it's the conditions.
I think it is too. And it was raining. We were getting a lot of rain, and then we just didn't. I looked back through the precipitation in May, and very early in the first week of May, it was a little rainy. It was cooler. Then it warmed up, and it stopped raining.
I had 3 games. I know you were talking to the mayor, not me, but I had 3 games canceled in 1 week. I'm trying to find out exactly what week it was.
I thought it was the first week.
Yeah, I think it was. It was between
It was the
April
first week in May.
29th
Yep.
and the first week of May. Yep. Because
It
I had
was
a game the
rainy.
29th,
Yeah.
May 2nd, May 4th, May 5th. So in that week, I had 3 cancellations. Otherwise, I don't think we've had any significant. I mean, not even a tenth of an inch of rain.
Even there was that one day before the week before Memorial Day, so last week,
Right.
where they were calling for rain, and it was
right.
a little cooler, but it really didn't.
Right.
Some areas got a little rain, but for the most part, we didn't get rain. So, yeah, it is. And the Cornell Cooperative or Cornell University saying we're in a very dangerous state the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll get some rain. In here right now is Mayor Jackie Izzo, who just recently delivered her State of the City. You okay to hang till about 8 o'clock? Because I have a feeling the Reagans are going to bump you.
Yes, we know when we come here, it's
Prepare.
Yes, it's fluid.
Come for the long haul.
It's fluid.
But let's start with this because, as I said, we have Michael Reagan, right?
Yes.
The son of Ronald Reagan, who does a ton of amazing things for veterans, and we have him coming up in a second. But we'll get into what you delivered, and it was a very extensive State of the City.
It was. There's just a lot to talk about, and I actually had to stop. We could have talked about even more things. It's a great time. I think people should be excited about what's happening in the city. We have a lot going on, and we've worked hard to get to that point.
Hang with that. We're going to talk about it coming up. We'll also do Habaika's free money question of the day. And Davey is waving me down. What happened?
No, he's all set.
On the line right now, he is the son of the former president, Ronald Reagan. Michael Reagan is on the line now. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thanks so much for coming on. And I know that we try to talk to you as close to Memorial Day each year as possible because it does remind us of something we should be remembering all year long, and that is that veterans need to be taken care of. We do a great job of sending people overseas and around the world and even defending us right here within our borders, but it's after they leave the service or, God forbid, they pass away and their families that we kind of forget.
Yeah, we do. We have a short memory, don't we?
Yeah, we
But
do.
We seem to forget. One of the things I like to do is if I'm flying and a service member gets on the plane, I love I'm sitting in business class, what have you. I love getting up and giving them my seat and sitting and taking their ticket and sitting wherever they were going to sit on the plane.
Wow.
You cannot believe what will happen on the plane when you do that. You cannot believe what will happen on the plane. And I think every time I've done that, they've sent the first class food back to me, but the plane just cheers the fact that you do that. It's a small thing you can do.
Yep.
To get on the plane, get up and give them your seat.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, if we could, obviously, the son of President Ronald Reagan. You are the president of the Reagan Legacy Foundation, as well as a New York Times bestselling author. But talk about what the foundation does.
Well, we started the foundation soon after the USS Ronald Reagan was commissioned back in early 2001, and thought, what can we do to really help the kids on the ship and really honor my father? And we started the Reagan Legacy Foundation program of providing scholarships to men and women who serve on the USS Ronald Reagan. But not only that, provide scholarships for their family members at home who are also serving in their own way with their loved ones on a ship in the middle of the sea. And we started this program, and it's been so wonderful to be able to help these sailors so that they get a better education, they get the education they want, so when they, either on the ship or when they leave the military, they've got a better education to come back to the United States, come back to land and get a job, or the family members at home trying to better themselves. So, the income line is better for them when they graduate from school. And it's just been a phenomenal program to be able to see how they light up when you present them with a check. Of course, the ship used to be in Coronado. She moved over to Japan a few years ago to keep an eye on North Korea. Now she heads up, when you hear people talk about the 7th Fleet, she is the head of the 7th Fleet out there in the South China Sea, looking at Taiwan, looking at North Korea and all that. And there's 5,000 sailors and airmen on that ship. It's a small city in the middle of the ocean protecting that area of the world. So to provide them with scholarships, and all people have to do is go to ReaganLegacyFoundation.org, hit donate, and the money comes in, and we provide $1,000 checks to the kids on the ship, $2,000 to the family members at home. And that's where the money goes. So it doesn't matter how much you give.
Yeah.
Give $1, give $5, give $20. We just put it all together. We send checks out twice a year, June and in December, and it puts a smile on some faces of those that you don't see, but that smile says thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome. And when the Berlin Wall came down, when the Soviet Union fell, all under your dad's watch, we thought that it was over. The Cold War is over. This is going to be a peaceful world. Everything is going to change. We finally reached a point in the human race where things are about to change, and it might be today more dangerous than ever.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. But like I tell people, it's not a case that the world misses Ronald Reagan. They miss Margaret Thatcher, Václav Havel, Helmut Kohl, Pope John Paul. They miss Mikhail Gorbachev. Those great leaders we had at that period of time are no longer with us. And the world's in turmoil because we're weak at home, and the world looks to the United States for leadership. And when we're not leading, then the world goes into turmoil.
Yeah.
And we're in turmoil today for that. And there's evil in the world, and they take advantage of those weaknesses.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, you see someone like a Vladimir Putin who longs for the days of the power that the elite had in the Soviet Union, and he seems to be trying to recreate that very scenario that we thought we'd gotten rid of. We thought we exterminated.
Yeah, and the fact is he never should have been allowed to go into Ukraine.
Yeah.
Never should have happened. And, you know, we're the ones, remember, negotiated for the Ukraine to give up their weapons. Give up your weapons, we'll take care of you. Well,
Yeah.
how'd that work out?
Yeah. I know you're limited on time. I appreciate it again for what you do with the Reagan Legacy Foundation. Again, just remind people how they can give, and of course, this goes directly to veterans and their families.
ReaganLegacyFoundation.org. Go on there and read all the things we do, and hit the donate button if you want to just send us a check. In the memo, put scholarship program, and you will be assured that money will go to a sailor either on the ship, an airman on the ship, and or a family member at home trying to better their education so they have a better future also.
Michael Reagan, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I love the inclusion of like a sailor's son or daughter can benefit from the scholarship fund. I think that's a great part of it. It's not just solely for individuals in the military, because in certain cases, I think they'll make a career in the military for themselves, but what they're worried about is getting Johnny or Susie through college or something like that. So I think that's a great way to add to a program and support military members, but also their families as well.
Let me break, and we'll talk to Mayor Jackie Izzo. First, though, Davey, let's do Hobica's free money question of the day. Let's make it caller number 3 here. And it just so happens, how do I say, today's question, we have 2 winners in a row. 2 days in a row we've had a winner. Let's end with a trifecta here. It just so happens it is a topical question that I'll be throwing at you here coming up.
Joe got under your skin or something?
Hobica is being punished right now. 3 in a row. Let's make it 3 in a row. Second caller through the lines right now, 315-736-0186 at WIBX.
You're invited to the 2023 Glimmerglass Festival, the world-renowned summer opera and musical theater festival located just minutes from Cooperstown. Glimmerglass has been presenting innovative, rare, and familiar works of opera and classic Broadway for nearly 50 years in a summer-long celebration of the arts that's an easy day trip from anywhere in the Mohawk Valley. This year's festival runs July 7th through August 20th with productions that speak to the aspirations, curiosity, and passions of growing up, and what can happen when life doesn't always play along. Purchase tickets today for Puccini's La Boheme, Bernstein's Candide, Gounod's Romeo and Juliet, Handel's Rinaldo, and a world premiere youth opera. Learn more at glimmerglass.org. The Glimmerglass Festival, a highlight of your summer experiences in the Cooperstown region. Hiking, kayaking, picnicking, museums, and world-class opera and musical theater. Truly a one-of-a-kind summer destination and just a short drive from anywhere in the Mohawk Valley. Join us and see for yourself why there's no place quite like Glimmerglass.
Mountain Man Outdoor Supply is excited to announce the return of the 22nd annual Adirondack Paddle Fest. After a 3-year hiatus, this highly anticipated event will return to Mountain Man Outdoor Supply Company on Route 28 in Old Forge, Saturday and Sunday, June 3rd and 4th. Show hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Sunday. There will be over 3 dozen top manufacturers and more than 1,000 canoes, kayaks, and SUPs from leading manufacturers, as well as hundreds of accessories to choose from. Representatives and designers will be on hand to help you decide what's best for your paddling needs. The wait is over. The Adirondack Paddle Fest is back. Join us Riverside, June 3rd and 4th at Mountain Man Outdoor Supply Company. Come kick off summer at the Adirondack Paddle Fest. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for all your local outdoor needs.
The government is spying on you. No surprise, I know. But did you know the banks are helping them? And did you know that withdrawing your cash from the bank can be very risky? That's right. Let Swiss America educate you about this. Banks are now required to spy on us for the government, and they report any behavior they think is suspicious. You'll be shocked when you read The Secret War on Cash from Swiss America. This new war against cash is really a war against the Constitution, against all freedom-loving Americans. You must read The Secret War on Cash. Get your free copy by calling or texting 800-630-1490. That's 800-630-1490. This war on cash is growing daily, and it also includes all forms of digital money. So please get and read The Secret War on Cash free by calling or texting right now at 800-630-1490. That's 800-630-1490. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, the Move to Mazda sales event is going on right now at Steep Honey Mazda Commercial Drive in Yorkville. Ricky Z says, come on in and head on out with a brand new Mazda. 2.9% APR financing up to 36 months right now. You can enjoy that on new 2023 Mazda CX-30s, CX-5s, CX-50s. And 0% APR financing up to 36 months on the new 2023 Mazda CX-9. It's a great vehicle. Trust me, I love the CX-9. The Move to Mazda sales event is going on right now from the dealership that's achieved first place nationally in customer satisfaction. All the dealerships, the Mazda dealerships throughout the country, number one in customer satisfaction is Steep Honey Mazda Commercial Drive in Yorkville.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, here we go. On the line right now, ready to take a shot at winning Hobica's free money question of the day. This comes from Joseph and Andrew Hobica. For all of your legal needs, call the Hobica Law Firm at 315-724-1600. And Dave is on the line right now in Rome. Hello, David. Good morning.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good. You ready to go here?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. A little suspicious. All right, let's go with this and make it work. And remember, 2 days ago we had a winner. Yesterday we had a $100 winner. Today, can we make it the trifecta with 3 winners in a row? Let's see. You'll have 7 seconds to answer, and here we go. In the year 1851, America's first cheese factory was founded where? Ready, go.
I believe it might have been Rome.
You're going to go with your own city, Rome, New York.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly correct. How about that? And he's from Rome. I love it. That's three in a row, 3 days in a row, David. Nice job.
You know, I fish down where the old cheese factory was, so I knew that one. Luckily,
you knew that one. And I
nice job.
It's funny because when I pulled the question, I wanted to make sure we had a Rome question. All of a sudden, I look up and it's Dave from Rome. I'm like, okay, we're going 3 days in a row.
Here it is.
Nice. All right, stand by. Davey is going to hook you up. We'll also throw you the Utica All-in-One Food and Fun card. It's good, a $25 gift card, good at Aquavino in New Hartford, Babes, 72 Tavern and Grill, Taylor and the Cook, the Adirondack Bank concession stands, Nexus, and at Cookies. There's one over here in Marcy, and, of course, in Utica where they do 2 for $2 hot dogs every Tuesday. Stand by, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Smart people in Rome, Mayor. Smart people in Rome.
I thought he would know that.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that's an amazing. The first ever cheese factory was located in Rome, New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So you're trying to, instead of look at the past, you're trying to look to the future. But with that story, your State of the City talked about maybe the past 6 years and where we are right now and going forward, and presenting your case on why things need to continue to move forward with your administration. So talk about that.
Well, I think that sometimes we get bogged down in looking behind. We need to honor our past, but we need to look ahead. And I think that that's probably been what we've been up to in the past 7 years, is setting the foundation all around the city for doing exactly that. We're trying to honor our history in some ways, but we are moving forward.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Between jobs, housing, infrastructure, we are on the move there. And, we've been doing this, and we should be proud of it. We've had no tax increase in 6 years. But at the same time, we're delivering the highest level of services. We have the departments have all the equipment that they need. So the taxpayers are not being slighted because we're trying to hold the taxes. We're just trying to spend our money very wisely. And in the same time, we have also increased our fund balance, which is a big deal because, if COVID showed you anything, something can change in a stroke of a pen or in a minute. And you've got to react.
Nobody saw COVID coming.
No.
Yeah.
And so no one knew what were going to be the ramifications of that. So
And imagine just without belaboring the COVID point, how leaders from mayors to county executives to governors to the president of the United States had to react to something, and we had no clue how to react to this. This was unprecedented, and I think the more time goes by, the more we realize what we went through was unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think that as you got lower down the government leadership change, it was a chain. It was more frustrating because there weren't necessarily things you thought should be done in your community.
Right.
But you were under executive orders and federal orders, and there were all kinds of things coming at you. And so and then you had people on both ends of the spectrum, too. You had people that were very, very worried about it, people that weren't so worried about it, and people in the middle, and you had to try to balance all of that. So, yeah, I think that was a very tumultuous time. But, again, does America learn from that? I mean, we should take that and start to put policies in place so that we wouldn't be doing things that are so drastic.
Yeah.
I mean, illnesses take on a different form. I don't know that you can really stop them. But, I don't know that the whole country just came to a halt.
I always think about what it used to be like on Christmas, and it really kind of is still like it on Christmas Day, when you drive down the highway and everything is closed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was like for, at the very least, a month before things started to slowly reopen.
Right.
I mean, the economy just died. But now during that time, you got to find a way to move your city, your community forward, and at the very least keep progress, because you were in the middle of big things happening at that time.
Yeah, and that was the point during some of the State of the City, is to look back and say, okay, we had all these projects that had been negotiated. They were just getting off the ground. Construction was starting. We couldn't let them lapse. So that took a lot of my time behind the scenes, lobbying with state officials to make sure we kept those projects moving, and then helping the developer to put protocols in place so they wouldn't get shut down. And we were very successful with that. None of our construction stopped. And around our county, we were very successful with that, because at the same time, the Wynn Hospital was being built. I think Nexus Center was being built. There were a lot of big projects. We had Orgill Distribution Center. Air City was being built. Delta Luxury Apartments.
You talk about Orgill and how, and by the way, we'll take any calls. If you have a question for Mayor Izzo, 315-736-0186. Of course, facing a primary coming up. Her opponent will have the opportunity to respond going forward here. But in your state of the city, so 315-736-0186 if you have a question for the mayor. In your state of the city, you said you personally, you seem to take the Orgill project very personally, and that. So, what does that mean, and what role did you play in that?
Well, I think people have there's misinformation about that, about what's the mayor's role. Well, the mayor's got to be directly involved, and with this one, I was directly involved the entire time. We didn't know who we were dealing with. They only had a site selector here. They brought people in after a month or so. We went to a dinner. We had no idea who we were sitting with. And after about 15 minutes, I just happened to be in the right place at the table, and we were talking about Tennessee, and that's where the company is, and a lot of different things. They said, you know what, we're going to tell you who we are. And they told me, and then they told the table. And they said, we were worried most about now. We know where we can site it. We know that we can continue making the business deal, and that's going to, take up all of our time. But we wanted to know what was the quality of life going to be like for our employees, because we're a family-owned company. And when we embed in a community, we want to make sure they're going to have adequate housing. What's the child care like? What's the healthcare system? How about the school system? And so we were talking about all of those things. And then how are you going to facilitate for us all of those things, and at the same time when we leave here tonight, continue to negotiate for the deal. And that took all of us. That took the county executive, Edge, Empire State Development. We had Excelsior Awards in there. That took a whole plethora. DOT was involved because of putting the light.
Yeah.
So that's how these things are. And so that was 5 months where we were pretty much 3 days a week, we were doing nothing but Orgle. And it pays off. I mean, that was 225 jobs. That grew to 275, and now it's going to be 350. So that DC is doing very, very well.
I have Kathy on the line, and Jeff Scott has some questions as well. Kathy's been waiting. Let me squeeze you in here, Kathy. You're on with the Mayor of Rome.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Mayor, you have gotten over the years a good chunk of government money, and it's helped rebuild and keep taxes down and everything. And I know nobody has a crystal ball, but can you honestly say for the next 4 years there's going to be zero tax increase? I mean, the government money has made the job as mayor easier for you to be able to reach out and do what you've done. But what happens when government money runs out?
Well,
where are we going to be looking as taxpayers?
Okay, none of that government money was guaranteed. I mean, we had to compete for that money, and we will continue to compete for it. That does not go into the equation when we're figuring out whether there's going to be a tax increase. There are expenses every year that are associated with running the city of Rome. We have a $48 million budget. That does not include any of the grant money. That's our operational expense. So our revenues,
Grant money would be used for the projects that you're...
Yes, and those are all off the books. They're not on the books. So when we're talking about formulating...
Hold on 1 second, Kathy, and then I'll let you go.
When we're talking about formulating the budget, first thing you start with are the salaries and benefits all across the board, and then into each department, what equipment is required. None of those things are grant funded. So do I have a crystal ball? My intention every year is that we will have a zero budget. And there are a lot of sacrifices that go into that, and it takes a lot to do that. But that is what the taxpayers expect. It has to be the best expenditure of money, and we are known for having very, very tight budgets. So no, we are dealing with our revenue sources of property taxes, sales tax. Those things mean more to us, and then pilot payments that are coming from, instead of real estate taxes, pilot taxes until people go on to full value assessment. There's our revenue streams. And then we've got to look at our expenses, and just like you would do your household budget, we've got to make all of that work.
Kathy?
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. When you talk revenues, one of the things also that you were talking about was water, and then I'll go to Jeff. But talk about and not every Rome is kind of rare when it comes to having this huge supply of water that can become a revenue stream.
We have a fantastic watershed up north in the town of Lewis. Everyone says, well, we're in a drought. It always seems like we're always great down here because up there they are going to get a lot of snow every year. There's always going to be a lot of water. So we have a water filtration plant. That's an asset in the ground, just as we have a wastewater plant. Those plants were built for 55,000, 60,000 people because that's when Griffiths was an active base. Town of Verona wants to increase their water distribution. There's a public safety, a public health hazard there with some of the places in the town where they're close to the canal.
Yeah.
People need to get off wells. We were in a great position as we were doing our Phase 3 water expansion anyway to finally run the piping in West Rome to distribute water to the town of Verona that's clean, potable, filtered, and that's what we're going to be doing probably as early as next year. The piping is pretty much in, and now the town is doing the rest of the distribution system throughout the town. But that helps. So as soon as we announced that, we got a call from the state and said, you know what, we think you should apply for this grant because it changes that you're doing a shared service, and the state's really high on that. They've been high on that for several years. We should be doing that. We are a regional. We should be more of a regional supplier, just like Utica is, the Mohawk Valley Water Authority.
Yep.
We actually supply the town of Lee, parts of Whitestown, parts of Westmoreland. We hope to expand a little bit more into Western once this phase of the North Rome is done. So that's important because water filtration plants, our upgrades alone over the last several years were $30 million plus. To put one in the ground now, you're probably talking $90, $100 million. It's already here. We shouldn't be doing more plants.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about, you mentioned the rainy day fund. What is that at? Is that in line with the state recommendation, the comptroller's recommendation as far as a budget percentage?
We are actually exceeding that now. When we first came into office, we only had 16 days of unassigned revenue or unassigned on hand to cover our bills. That was dangerously, it was extremely low. So right away we said we've got to start finding ways to increase that unassigned fund. So we've been diligently working at that for the last 7 years. Now I think we're in the $10 million plus range, $20 million. We have 81 days on hand now. Without any revenue coming in, we could meet our expenses. That's very good. Very, very good.
You said it's about $10 million or over $10 million?
Well, the unassigned fund.
The unassigned fund.
Yes.
So that as a percentage is like almost, it's more than 20% of your, if a $48 million budget. So that is
right.
Certainly seems like a healthy percentage.
It is now, yes.
And I wanted to ask about housing. I know that's been a focus of yours. You've talked for years about the people who live outside of Rome, who come to Rome to work. Air City Lofts is part of that effort. You also mentioned the Delta Luxury Suites. Are there other projects, either in the future or that are being worked on now, to address housing in Rome?
Well, Woodhaven. So with the single-family housing has started to be constructed in the Woodhaven plot. And actually, we are ramping up now to replace all the water and sewer in that area. That was the old base housing. So that those systems are pretty shot there. We're going to replace all of that and do some road reconstruction at the same time. So I think that'll help that development. But that's going to be a 250-unit single-family housing. And then
250 single-family houses?
250, yeah. Wow. So there are 7 up right now. There is a sale pending on the second one. So which is, why would you be worried about if you're selling 2 houses? Well, these houses are being built now at the height of inflation, so it's really escalating the cost, and the interest rates are so much higher. There's a little over 6%. And, of course, in this day and age, you think, oh, my gosh, it's so high. But I remember buying my first house, the interest rate was well over 8%. And some people can remember when it was double digits.
Yeah.
So we don't want to get into that territory. But so that it's a difficult time to be doing new construction, but it's really, we need it. And we've had more people contacting us because Micron is coming to the Syracuse area. Mm-hmm. Even Syracuse realtors are now into our market because there's not enough housing out there.
Yeah.
So we've got some developers that are looking at other tracts of land, and some of them are saying, well, I want to wait till Micron gets in the ground. But the fact that they're even here right now means that...
already has people moving.
Yeah, and, Wolfspeed is building out.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rome, you're looking at Micron to the west, Wolfspeed and Global Foundries to the east. We're sitting in a really nice spot here, and we have land.
And then just one follow-up to that, when you talked about the replacing sewer and some of the roads, water and sewer, is that city money or is there state funding or federal funding coming to play?
We're actually using ARPA money there because that is a great high benefit for all of our residents. That's going to add users onto our system, and it will address the piping there. In fact, we've used ARPA money on a couple of these projects. There's ARPA money in the Delta Luxury to expand the sanitary sewer because he's building townhomes, and that's something that's missing from our market. Yesterday, I had General Richardson was here and his wife. He's the AFMC commander, the commander of Rome Lab. His first visit to Rome took him on a window tour of all of these sites. They were very impressed with what we were doing because we are not an active military base anymore. So they're very concerned, the military. How are you going to support our troops, the people that are here?
Yeah.
And they can't believe the amount of housing that we've built to try to address that issue between Air City, Delta Luxury, and now Woodhaven. So we want those people to stay here. The Eastern Air Defense Sector, 100% guard, full-time guard. those are families that could be living here the rest of their life. They're never, there's no deployments usually. So we've got to reintegrate those people to think about living in Rome.
And actually, the opportunities that are there now for housing are probably a heck of a lot better than what they had when the Air Force Base was here.
Oh, no question.
I mean,
we've
seen some of those properties that are no longer, they've been taken down.
Right. This obviously is not typical base housing. This is going to be, new construction, single-family homes. You're going to think about staying there for your lifetime.
I have somebody asking on with Kathy's call about, can you guarantee no tax increase for the next 4 years? You didn't say you could.
You said the last 6 years it's been no tax increase.
Correct.
They want to know about the next 4 years.
Can you make a guarantee like that?
I don't know of anyone in any business that could make a guarantee. That's a budget is a forecast, depending on market conditions. But my goal every year is to have a zero budget. So we are going to do our level best to continue to keep those taxes at zero.
And what you're talking about is the previous 6 years has been at a zero tax increase.
Yes. So we want to stay at a zero increase. We want a balanced budget. Right. We have to have a balanced budget, one way or the other. If the money is there, we are going to do our best. Now, we just negotiated all of our labor contracts, and we had to make significant changes in those contracts to deal with inflation and the movement of the minimum wage. Everyone thinks that doesn't affect everything else, but it does. It affects the middle and the top. So we'll have those increased expenses, but we're expecting them, and we will deal with it.
One last question, Frank, with a question for you. Frank, you're on with Mayor Izzo. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Mayor Izzo, I was wondering, is there any way to? I heard the news about the Rome horse, the Revere horse getting lit up. Is there any way to accelerate that schedule? Is there any way the city can help out that private company to get this iconic figure as a promotional, like for the city of Rome? I remember back in the day, we used to be excited to see that as kids coming home from my grandma's on East Dominic Street. We'd have to say, hey, who wants to see the horse first? We'd see it through the trees. It hasn't been lit in years, and I know I heard the news they're working on getting it going, but it sounds like it's a year out. Is there any way to accelerate that? Does the city can do anything with that?
Well, first of all, this is a great announcement by the company to take that project on. There's a lot of planning that has to go into that. The sign has to be rebuilt. So the first thing the company has to do is the sign sits on a building. They have to have a structural analysis done of that building to see if it can hold the new sign. The new sign has to be built, and that'll be built out all in new electronics and LED lighting. They have set a target of July 4, 2024.
I love it.
To light it.
Yeah.
I think that is very realistic, and can you move it up? I don't think so. I think this is going to take time. And if it can't go on the building, then we all have to get together and figure out, okay, how do we mount it? So I think, one thing that before we can tell you anything about a time frame, I think that has to happen first.
All right.
Now, this is the...
Thank you, Frank, for that.
The mural on the side of the building, or this is a lit sign?
No, this is a lit sign.
It's in the skyline. This is
I don't know this.
Was a part of Rome's
when
skyline.
you come into East Rome, it's right there.
Davey.
Yeah.
You're all right in there?
Yes.
He's a big fan of it.
Oh yeah, no, he knows all about it.
Going that and the marquee.
Oh, the Capitol marquee.
I think are two very big people. The people of Rome. This is what people grew up with.
Well, these are 2 points of pride.
They've gone away. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's, again, honoring our history, but moving us into the future. So we're honoring our history now with trying to relight Paul Revere, but he will be relit in LED, and it'll be a totally different looking sign. It'll actually be much brighter than the other one was.
The mural, am I wrong? The mural on the brick building is Paul Revere also?
That's General Gansevoort.
Oh, that's General Gansevoort. Okay.
And
that
we
was
just
my
put,
other question for Hobiker earlier today.
Yeah, we just put an
that
RFP out for that building. There's a $2 million restore grant. We want to bring that building now onto the downtown inventory. That's a very key piece of property, and that you can see how that fits for apartments and some commercial space in the bottom.
Okay, Mayor, we appreciate it, Mayor Jackie Izzo. And as we said, Mr. Lanigan will reach out to him and give him a chance to respond, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Sorry for every time you come in, we're like, do you mind waiting 15, 20 minutes? So today was one of those. You're bumped by Mr. Reagan.
That's okay. That's a wonderful program.
Yep,
Thank
no
you,
doubt
Mayor.
about it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
WIBX, Utica, Rome, it's 8:05.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
Utica and the Mohawk Valley will soon be home to New York State's newest state-of-the-art medical center, the Wynn Hospital. But healthcare transformation is already underway. At MVHS, we're bringing talented, highly skilled healthcare professionals from around the country to our region. In the past year, MVHS has hired more than 60 new doctors and mid-level providers, and recruiting continues throughout the Northeast for nurses, physical therapists, radiology techs, lab positions, and more. Plus, the MVHS Medical Education Division is already bringing more physicians in training and medical students to our area through new residency programs and medical school partnerships. Today, we have 45 residents and 35 medical students doing their training at MVHS. By 2027, there will be more than 200 physician learners at the Wynn Hospital and other MVHS campuses. Our focus is on caring for our community with the best and brightest teams of caregivers, now and in the future. Mohawk Valley Health System. This is for you.
Mountain Man Outdoor Supply is excited to announce the return of the 22nd annual Adirondack Paddle Fest. After a 3-year hiatus, this highly anticipated event will return to Mountain Man Outdoor Supply Company on Route 28 in Old Forge, Saturday and Sunday, June 3rd and 4th. Show hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Sunday. There will be over 3 dozen top manufacturers and more than 1,000 canoes, kayaks, and SUPs from leading manufacturers, as well as hundreds of accessories to choose from. Representatives and designers will be on hand to help you decide what's best for your paddling needs. The wait is over. The Adirondack Paddle Fest is back. Join us Riverside, June 3rd and 4th at Mountain Man Outdoor Supply Company. Come kick off summer at the Adirondack Paddle Fest. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for all your local outdoor needs.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
All right, it's a Utica Thing restaurant and bar. It's the Utica Thing Kitchen and Bar, which is now open. A brand new restaurant that has been totally remodeled. Open today, 4 till 10, tomorrow 12 till 10, and Sunday 1 till 8. And there's a happy hour now at It's a Utica Thing Kitchen and Bar every single day. Happy hour 4 till 6 with discounted apps and drinks. And Tuesday, it's 2 for $25 on their specialty pizzas. Also, Tito's Tuesday. You can check it all out with great food at It's a Utica Thing Kitchen and Bar. Quickly, RV wants to comment before we go to news. RV in Westmoreland, good morning.
How you doing, Bill?
How you doing, man? What's going on?
Just a little bit on Jackie there, promoting Revere. It's a sad thing when you go to in the store and they got Revere where there. You turn it over and where's it made? China.
Yeah.
I get so pissed off when I see that. I stop at garage sales once in a while. You'll pick up an old Revere ware made in Rome, New York. Throw it in hell. Stamped right on the middle of the bottom, right there. You know.
Yep.
But why can't we get the Rome manufacturer back and start making that Revere ware? They want to promote the sign. Let's get the company back like it used to be.
Okay, RV. I got to say though that
that's my comment.
All right, good deal. Fair enough. Okay, but defending the company is what I was going to say. You know, you want to keep these companies. The fact that they are still stationed and located in Rome is a huge deal. But it is a fact of the world that a lot of our manufacturing is shipped not just to China but around the world in order to stay competitive with everybody else.
And I'll just mention one thing that RV said there is he loves walking up to a like a garage sale or a yard sale and seeing, picking up a product or an item. And
there aren't any yard sales around anymore, are there? Oh,
yes, there are.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's a huge one going on tomorrow at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds. It is the world's largest yard sale tomorrow, Saturday, June 3rd. Home interiors, antiques, collectibles, clothes, jewelry, trinkets, tools, furniture, automotive parts, electronics, rims and tires. Matter of fact, you've got some rims.
Are you holding a sale? Are you going to do one?
I'm not.
Oh.
No, I don't have a booth
I think
this
I'm
year.
just going to throw mine up on... are you holding one, Davey?
No, but John is.
John is. I had to give him my Lexus rims.
They're
originals. You know what they sell for? Like $5,000. Yeah. No, they don't. But I think like $1,500. I wouldn't sell them for that. I'll sell them for like $400 or $500 for the four of them.
How'd you get them?
Well, you had a Lexus.
I had a Lexus, and I had a double set. I had a double set. Yeah.
The world's largest yard sale tomorrow, 8 to 3 at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds. Come one, come all. It's going to be a good time. A lot of great things that you can pick through.
Even vinyl and records and all that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. You name it. It's going to be warm, so bring a refreshment or make sure you got your fluids before you go. But you don't have to worry about the rain tomorrow. They say part of the
there
day.
Might be a little chance, but it's a low chance of rain. It's going to be a really less humid day tomorrow. It's going to be really nice. Forecast looks great for tomorrow, which, by the way, is coming up in just a second.
Yes, we'll get to meteorologist Craig Flint in just 1 minute. But first, this news update is brought to you by Clinton Tractor, the leader in service, celebrating 70 years in business, 3 generations and counting. You can visit them at clintontractor.net. Well, Utica police taking action to address a trouble spot in West Utica, specifically a home on Warren Street. Now, Utica police say in the past several weeks there has been a homicide, in fact, a murder at that location, also a fatal drug overdose. UPD conducted a search warrant at 813 Warren Street on Thursday, arresting 3 people for drug possession. Police say a quantity of both methamphetamine and heroin were located during their search. 41-year-old Stephen Creco, 40-year-old Christopher Valletto, and 39-year-old Aisha Dean Welch all face various charges related to criminal possession of a controlled substance. Investigators seized about $900 in cash there as well. In April, Utica police responded to that home for a murder investigation where 49-year-old James Jackson of Utica was shot to death. You may remember this incident because there was a foot pursuit that followed very soon after. The suspect in that case is from the state of Pennsylvania, and we spoke with UPD's Mike Curley shortly after the incident. Also, police responded to that same home recently for a fatal drug overdose. More on that story on our website at WIBX950.com. A second Democrat entering the race to try and unseat Congressman Brandon Williams in 2024. Clemmy Harris, a former advisor to Governor David Patterson and a current resident of Camillus, says that a major part of his campaign will be trying to understand the priorities of those who live in the 22nd District. fellow Democrat Sarah Clee Hood entered the contest a few weeks ago. The 22nd District covers Madison, Oneida, and Onondaga counties, along with a small portion of Oswego County. Brandon Williams, a Republican, is serving his first term in Congress. A guard at Destiny USA shopping center fired after making numerous disturbing threats. The Post-Standard reports that the man, Bruce Levick, was assigned to work the mall and allegedly told co-workers that he wanted to shoot up the mall and the Syracuse Pride Parade that is happening on June 10th. His co-workers reported the threats to police. Levick was terminated. The Onondaga County DA's office says he has not been charged with a crime.
I don't think he's. The problem is, what crime has he committed? But I'll bet you they're going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
and they should.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a great example of all these things, these shootings that have happened, and then you hear, well, there was a threat made, this threat made on Facebook, and nobody paid attention to it. And then there's not saying that this person would act, but we have to pay attention to these things, I would think.
And Mavis Discount Tire has reached a settlement agreement with some of the family members of those who were killed in the limousine crash nearly 5 years ago. The October 2018 tragedy in Schoharie resulted in 20 deaths. The Times-Union reports that the settlements are related to wrongful death lawsuits filed against Mavis because a local shop falsified a brake work invoice and also gave the vehicle a passing DMV inspection sticker without doing proper safety checks. Limo operator Naman Hussein was sentenced to prison earlier this week. After being convicted of manslaughter, his sentence was between 5 and 15 years. Another hot one on tap today, but a great day to play baseball. Here's what we can expect.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. Today remains very warm. Few showers and thunderstorms developing this afternoon. Best chance north and east, a high of 87. Tonight, a lingering shower or thunderstorm near 65. Tomorrow, not as hot. Redeveloping showers and thunderstorms mainly late morning and early afternoon. Then mostly sunny, windy, and cooler late near 75. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Sunshine and already 70 degrees at 8:17. All right, and checking sports, I'll go quick. The Mets complete a sweep of the Phillies. Yes! That was great to see yesterday. Was it 2-1 or 4-2?
4-2.
4-2. They completed a 3-game sweep. Scherzer looked really good. They'll open up a series against the Blue Jays at Citi Field tonight. The Yankees open a series on the left coast. They're out there taking on the Dodgers. Luis Severino expected to get the start against Clayton Kershaw. And Smitty says that Giancarlo Stanton is due back.
Josh Donaldson.
Boo.
And Tommy Kahnle.
I think there was a couple little leaguers I saw pitching last night who could strike out Josh Donaldson.
Can I just make a point on the Mets real quick? Did you see that they're putting 4 people into their Hall of Fame this weekend? But one of the players is getting criticized. They're inducting Howie Rose, Gary Cohen, Al Leiter, and I don't remember who the 4th member is. But a lot of people on social media are bashing Al Leiter. How come he's going into the Mets Hall of Fame?
Oh, Leiter was a key part of the 2000 World Series when we lost to the Yankees. Look, Leiter was always a gamer. I loved it. Anytime he's on the mound, you knew you were going to get 7 innings. He might give up 3, but he was always out there fighting.
Who's
I
criticizing
have no problem with Al Leiter going in as a Met.
All the people on social media, like non-traditional Mets fans. What did Al Leiter do for us? I see
what's a non-traditional Mets fan? Oh, a winner. Sorry, Davey.
Come on, Bill.
Sorry. Listen, though, the Mets, I got to tell you something. This is a very stacked team. We should be performing like we're performing right now and maybe even scoring more runs.
I think members of the team have money stacks. Yeah, I don't know how good we're playing.
The 4th member is Howard Johnson.
Oh, yeah, Hojo should go in.
Got to be definitely going.
They were complaining about Leiter. Leiter, come on. Why not?
And the other 2 are broadcasters. And what's his name? Didn't Howie Rose, did he just have cancer or die? I forget.
No, he just had cancer.
Yeah. I think he did. All right.
And I'll just quickly mention the Nuggets take Game 1 against the Heat in the NBA Finals. Nikola Jokic had a triple-double. 104-93 was the final. Game 2 is Sunday. Tomorrow, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals happening in Las Vegas.
I got to tell you, the Nuggets won by 10 points, 11 points?
11.
I think the line was like 9 on that game. My son is out in Denver, so he's a big fan of the Nuggets, claims this is just they will overpower in this finals, and it's going to be.
I think one of the most popular bets was Denver in 5, which means at the most Miami would get 1 win.
Yep. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Okay. And by the way, I don't know what everybody's getting all uptight about over this Hall of Fame thing with the Mets. It's the Mets Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, very
it's the Mets Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So, you know.
You
put
kidding me?
Put them all in.
Yeah, put them all in.
Put them all in.
Tony's like, I don't care what you guys do.
Comments like, put them all in. Who really cares? You know, these are the comments we're hearing. So, yeah, interesting. All right, Davey, thank you, man.
You're welcome.
County Executive Anthony Vicenti's in studio. Hold tight. We're going to break and come back with you. It's 8:20 at WIBX.
Get ready for an evening of jaw-dropping illusions, mystifying mind magic, and hilarious routines when the legendary duo of Magic, Penn and Teller dispatch their favorite magicians to your town. Don't miss Penn and Teller's The Foolers, bringing TV's trickiest magicians live to the stage at the Stanley Theater for an unforgettable, unbelievable event on Saturday, September 16th. Get your tickets now at thestanley.org before they disappear, or call 315-724-4000.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan. Or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties.
FoundationHOC.org.
We're your community foundation.
Working to build a vibrant region
with opportunity for all.
The government is spying on you. No surprise, I know. But did you know the banks are helping them? And did you know that withdrawing your cash from the bank can be very risky? That's right. Let Swiss America educate you about this. Banks are now required to spy on us for the government, and they report any behavior they think is suspicious. You'll be shocked when you read The Secret War on Cash from Swiss America. This new war against cash is really a war against the Constitution, against all freedom-loving Americans. You must read The Secret War on Cash. Get your free copy by calling or texting 800-630-1490. That's 800-630-1490. This war on cash is growing daily, and it also includes all forms of digital money. So please get and read The Secret War on Cash free by calling or texting right now at 800-630-1490. That's 800-630-1490. Message and data rates may apply.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Utica and the Mohawk Valley will soon be home to New York State's newest state-of-the-art medical center, the Wynn Hospital. But healthcare transformation is already underway. At MVHS, we're bringing talented, highly skilled healthcare professionals from around the country to our region. In the past year, MVHS has hired more than 60 new doctors and mid-level providers, and recruiting continues throughout the Northeast for nurses, physical therapists, radiology techs, lab positions, and more. Plus, the MVHS Medical Education Division is already bringing more physicians in training and medical students to our area through new residency programs and medical school partnerships. Today, we have 45 residents and 35 medical students doing their training at MVHS. By 2027, there will be more than 200 physician learners at the Wynn Hospital and other MVHS campuses. Our focus is on caring for our community with the best and brightest teams of caregivers, now and in the future. Mohawk Valley Health System. This is for you.
In Sarah's Flooring Outlet, let me just say, if you're looking for flooring, why would you go to a store that doesn't do just flooring? Because everything they do involves flooring at Sarah's Flooring Outlet. It is the largest selection you're going to find, the largest inventory in all of Central New York, and it's located right down the street from us at their all-new Route 49 Plaza in Sarah's Flooring Outlet. And you know, on Pergo Extreme, they have the Pergo Extreme Price Guarantee. It's a 60-mile guarantee, a 60-mile radius of the store. It's in Sarah's Flooring Outlet. Their website, in sarahsflooringoutlet.com. There, you can pick up a $50 coupon for your purchase, your next purchase of $500 or more. Shop online or in the store and get 6 months interest-free financing. Sal, ready to take care of you and any of your needs when it comes to flooring in your home and your business or what have you. It's in Sarah's Flooring Outlet. Route 49 Plaza, River Road, Marcy. Online and sarahsflooringoutlet.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, in studio right now is the county executive, Anthony Pacini, and good morning.
Good morning.
So the Mets have been looking pretty good the last couple of days.
Well, hopefully they will. I mean, it's interesting, these teams.
Do you think they should? Between
They
the
should.
Mets and Yankees.
I think they should. The Yankees should look better, too. They still, nobody's put the streak together. I think,
Right.
that's really a key, especially this time of the season. You got to put a streak together. These 3-4 game winning streaks, you got to really get.
You got to get a right.
Streak. You gotta get a streak
because they're going in this weekend with hosting. The Mets will be hosting Toronto this weekend.
Yankees playing
and
the Dodgers. So
I could just see us getting swept this weekend. I mean, is this a real run? It's going to be the big question. So, all right, let's talk about some things here. Is there a concern, and how does this work? This is just out of the blue. It's a story we were talking about this morning. Do you play a role in? Does the county play a role in this? I know when it comes to OD prevention, overdose prevention, that sort of thing.
Sure.
You guys are right there, and you're there with health concerns. Mm-hmm. You're there with all of the county plays a big role. When it comes to, we haven't had rain in a month, and there's a professor at Cornell who's saying, right now, we these next 2-3 weeks, we are in a very dangerous place when it comes to brush fires, forest fires, because it is so dry. Do you have any concern about that at all?
Oh, always, because the north, Oneida County's. I always say it. We're rural and a lot of land.
Yeah,
and
especially as you travel north.
There's some forest land, and there are areas, and we saw it last weekend with a little fire up. I mean, what could have been bigger in Forestport. So definitely a concern. I came across this. Actually, it was my first year in office in 2007. We had a water crisis.
Yeah.
No rain, lack of water. A lot because then you're drawing more out of the system to handle
right.
other things, and people are watering lawns. Summertime, people want to water their lawns. They wash their cars.
We're
they
doing it
just
right
They
now.
wash
Yeah.
their houses. They do a whole ton of things.
None of us can remember end of May where your lawn is already brown.
No, I know.
Right?
Leaving the house this morning, my wife said, "Well, at least you don't have to cut the grass this weekend, because it's."
And they're saying you shouldn't cut it. It's because it
right,
literally burns
It'll burn it, and so, but it is a concern. I mean, there's supposed to be some pop-up showers today, maybe, but I don't know what's forecast for the next week or so. But we're always concerned about that. And then the concern is what's in the watershed, and then that becomes the bigger concern, because if you then have to regulate or put an order in of not watering lawns and an emergency order, and that causes more problems. But you never want to have that, because then what happens if not just a forest fire or brush fire or whatever, but if something happens somewhere else and you're using a lot of water. I mean, you remember the Mats fire of some years ago, the brewery.
Yeah.
A lot of water. I forgot how much water was dumped on that. Which was necessary, obviously, and required and all that. But at the end of that, you've used a lot of your water. I mean, where's it?
I was. It is. Well, we'll see where it goes. But when you look to the forecast 2-3 weeks ahead, the problem with those forecasts is those are averages.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really forecasting out there, so we don't know what's going to happen.
And it's unusually hot. This
is crazy.
This early. I mean, that you always see a pop-up day here and there of an 80 or a 90, but this week, it's just June 2nd, so we'll have to see.
I wanted to ask also, and then we'll get into some of the things that you have. I also wanted to ask about the governor's plan to. Did I just hear you sigh? Yeah.
Which plan? Which plan? Because there aren't any. There really aren't.
There's one that I know we've done a lot of focusing on the gas stoves and that sort of thing, and I just don't see that ever. I don't want to say ever. I don't see that happening right away, because I just don't think we have the infrastructure. And the same thing comes with if she's asking for school buses to be electric. What about a fleet of county or municipal vehicles, the municipalities? Is there any mandate going forward on those vehicles?
Well,
to be
I don't know if it's a mandate on those, or if it's a mandate across the board, because what she's put in place or what she's proposed is certain deadlines. In fact, I spoke at an electrification summit on Wednesday.
Yeah,
in Albany, along with some real experts on this topic and everything. And I was there because of my position and as a county executive, and as someone who I got off the Power Authority, but I also weigh in on these issues. And everybody said the same thing. Not a bad thing. It's good to look at electrification.
We should be trying to plow
we
forward.
Should be trying. We should be doing this, but it's
Yeah.
got to be done in a measured way. To set arbitrary deadlines and say you will have, you will eliminate, gas stoves. You will eliminate, and any other gas, building. You will, have electric cars by, et cetera.
You will eliminate seared steaks.
Is just it's so unrealistic, but it's also not the way to do this, and having sat on the Power Authority for a number of years and watched all these things, but you also have to understand, this is upstate New York, and there's something that every one of the speakers on the panel I was on the other day talked about this, and Gavin Donahue, who sat next to me, who I used to work with in the Pataki administration as part of the independent power providers, director, said, think about Christmas last year, right around there. I mean, 40-some people died in Buffalo, in a snowstorm, and yet it was 55 degrees down in Brooklyn.
Right.
So, that's the differences that we're dealing with in New York State. And when you put those together and say that, so electrification, what happens if that's all we have?
Right.
The load on power, can go for days without people having electricity, which they go through now. But if gas becomes a part of that,
right.
I mean, or if you're eliminating one in view of the other, So all of those factors. Then the other thing, I was talking when on my way down, I was on the conversation with Chuck Green from AIS, Shared Information Systems in Rome. We were talking, and I told him where I was going, and he was like, "Yeah," he said, and he's and if you don't know Chuck's business, cybersecurity, does a lot of work with the Air Force Research Lab. It says, did anybody take that into account? And so I brought that up, and I was like, wow. I mean,
right.
The breakdown of, the overloading of the grid. If you want to just keep moving to this so rapidly, what is that going to do to networks and cybersecurity and people breaking into things?
Normally, there was you offered incentives. Government offers incentives. You then let the market basically navigate.
Sure.
And we're already seeing the market. We're already on the roads right now. I did a lot of traveling over the last week. And I saw many electric cars. But you're allowing the market to do this, not setting this deadline that we're not going to have an infrastructure to be able to support.
And it is cleaner. It is in some ways, but there's still issues with safety that's got to be addressed. In terms
Think about
of batteries.
this: you've mandated all of these buses by whatever year. They have to have an entire fleet. Now, I don't think you've ever driven along Route 5S. When the buses, I used to come in every morning because I lived in the valley. The buses were always warming up out there and getting ready to take off.
At Bernie, right?
At Bernie. How many buses were there? I don't know. 150 of them. They're all parked next to each other.
More than I can count
now,
when we drive by.
Just think about this. They say that these electric vehicles, if they, God forbid, catch on fire, they burn at such a hot rate, even water will not put out the fire. So could you imagine one in the middle?
Oh, God.
Now you have it would take the entire fleet out.
The other thing that I don't know that they're considering and again, not the expert by far or anything, is the capacity of these batteries in the wintertime that we have.
Right.
And even schools.
What does the cold do?
What is the cold? I know what the cold. I've talked to some friends who have electric vehicles and said, they were skiing somewhere and just made it back in time because the cold weather just drains that battery at a level.
You're not going to get the same mileage.
I think I correct. Somebody can correct me if they're out there and have this. I think certain vehicles you can get up to 280 miles on a charge on a normal day.
Right.
Not even but then if it's below freezing, that drops down to like 150 or 160 miles, or even somewhere in there. And then even on hotter days, real hot days, the same thing happens again.
Right.
You lose that capacity. So what happens with school buses? In the middle of the day. In the middle
by
of
the
the
way, our which are large. Very
sure,
large.
but what happens in the middle of the day? Because the day changes, temperatures change during the course of the. We're living upstate New York.
And by the way, what are we going to do with all the buses that they currently have?
Well, that's. And what's that going to do to the taxpayers in terms of those?
None of this stuff is being thought out, and if they're thinking it out, they're not
gradually,
sharing it.
It's not a bad thing. We should be looking at alternate. We should be looking at alternate, sources, but in a measured and in a collaborative way, in which. Local governments like ours and across the state and everyone's involved. But yet again, this is New York State that just plows ahead and with no input, not even from the experts. That's the other thing. I mean, they're not even getting the real people that can help them develop these plans.
Sounds good.
Just like bail reform. I don't care what the DAs think. I don't care what the sheriffs think.
Somebody asked a question of Mayor Izzo, and before we leave, I want you to kill the next interview because I'm never going to get to it. So we'll try to get Jackie just before to answer a question that somebody had. We'll get to that, and then some of the things that you have. Yesterday, was it yesterday? You rolled out Veterans Suicide Prevention Program.
Yes, it was.
Obviously, this is extremely important.
It really is, and we were fortunate. I mean, there were this program, this Staff Sergeant Fox program. It's named after a young man who was in the service, and then due to service-related stress and and just anxieties and such, took his life at the age of 25. And so there was a bill established in which funding was put aside across the country, and there were 240 applicants, and only 80 communities received this, and we were one of them, which I think, first of all, says a lot for what we've been trying to do in working with our veterans community and in this. So it really is it's a $2.25 million program over a 4-year period. We put an RFP out a few months ago, and the Neighborhood Center, along with the Utica Center for Development, Vince Scalise's organization, is working together with us in this, which offers peer counseling and services and all outreach, and the important aspect, I think, is not just to the veteran themselves, but to the veterans' families too. It's not just an individual. Only a veteran is eligible. So if you're a veteran, but if your family comes forward and says, my son or my daughter needs help, but we need help in dealing with, either, God forbid, they did take their lives, or if they're on a path that doesn't look promising in that regard, and to prevent and do all we can to prevent it. And so, it's a real serious program, obviously, but we're excited about the opportunity. I know, talking to Vinny and Rick Redmond, other veterans yesterday, that they said just in the last month they know 4 guys that they served with that took their lives, after coming home, and some of them are after coming home from the hard service and things that they've seen, and others, there's also service, those that are not on the front lines, but in training exercises and other things that that lead to these problems. So hopefully we can break through and address some more of it. And I just think it's really exciting that when you look at all of the states that we were one of the recipients of that program. So.
I know that yesterday you were with Senator Griffo and talking about this, the Thruway Authority, and what came out of that.
The Public Service Commission as well.
Yeah.
Well, we had an interesting and
what was this about?
We had Senator Griffo and I, and we talked about it because of things that we're talking about here, and energy was a big focus of that. In terms of the Public Service Commission, which regulates and which sets the mark on some of these energy things, particularly National Grid and that. So it was an interesting session with primarily seniors in Rome. We held it, and the Thruway Authority as well, to kind of explain and answer some questions about what not only what they do, but where people have concerns. And it's whenever you do those forums, a lot of different concerns come out, and so it was really good to hear from people. But you could hear the frustration in energy costs, and so we go back to what we just talked about, in terms of what has taken place here, and and the cost of delivery of energy to homes. The cost of what the grid costs, what gas costs, what heating oil costs. So we covered a variety of issues, and people are struggling in that regard, especially and I know myself. I don't know what I know you have the similar kind house. What's your gas and electric bill?
Right.
They're pretty significant, and so to try to get to and understand how that works and what the process is, I think they answered some questions, and then certainly the Thruway has its ups and downs in terms of what people have been hit with in terms of the tolls, and you saw the story about from the controller that a lot of it is not being collected, and there were questions about that. So it was a very good informational session, and really also we had our Office for the Aging and Continuing Care there to answer some questions and help some of the seniors with other issues.
All right, we're speaking with County Executive Anthony Pisani, and if you have any questions, 315-736-0186. Got a couple more minutes.
I know because I just paid my bill every month, but National Grid, when you call, the first thing they say, National Grid is committed to a fossil-free future, and I just wonder how that's going to play out. So a couple of comments here on energy. One comes from Steve Hauk, and he sent us a message. And it was, Bill, it was about your comment about the fires for electric buses.
Yeah.
Essentially, here's what he says. Electric vehicle fires are hard to put out because the actual chemical reaction when they burn creates its own oxygen, which just feeds the fire over and over. So it was just a clarification
It's actually like the temperature of the sun. I mean, it's like extremely hot. And the other part, if you get these batteries are exposed to water, these lithium batteries exposed to water, it's a bad explosion.
And I think they're very expensive to replace. Also,
not that
it's important to know that even with the smaller ones,
even with the smaller ones,
the smaller ones that people use in different devices at home.
Don't put them in your
weed
garbage.
eater or something.
Those and cameras and other devices. Yeah.
Well, also, even the really small ones. Yeah. I had a battery operated weed whacker.
I remember something
fell in the pool. I fell in the pool with it.
Yeah,
and I got a shock, but luckily it didn't. That thing exploded. It would have been very bad for me. I have a feeling.
Chuck Lester says government incentives create false demand. And he's basically saying incentives versus mandates. But I think the point you were trying to convey was there's funding that's given. There are incentives that are given to private companies to develop a product that is more affordable and more appetizing to a consumer market, and then people begin to buy it.
So I feel like that way of doing things is better than setting a deadline like the governor has done.
I think you have to also look at, again, one of the other things I brought up at that summit was, not only, in terms of the weather conditions and what we deal with, but also what our population is. And again, last night, being at a place with a great many seniors who want to stay in their homes, or if you turn around and tell them that and when they have to replace their hot water tank, now they have to go electric. I mean, how are they going to stay in their home?
Right.
I mean, it's bad enough, that what the gas prices are and what they have to pay. So we have to balance that in terms of the of the marketplace, and that's where while so you can provide. I disagree a little bit. You can provide incentives, as they do now with the Energy Star and energy efficient things, which people do from time to time and get credits for it. But at the same time, forcing and saying by 2020 or by 2030 or 2025 or whatever the dates that the governor has thrown out there on these things is just not the way to, it's not, and plus it's not going to happen. Let's be real honest.
Right, it's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Right.
It just can't.
It can't happen.
It just can't.
Way to cut through the BS there, Tony.
Look,
let's be honest.
Well, 50 years, I can't say what's going to be in 50 years.
It's going to happen at some point.
It will at some point.
But not in the next 10 minutes.
And it might even be in a different form.
Right, but you can't say in the next 5 or 10 years. There's no way to convert that. And then the questions become, when we talk about buses and you talk about, so what happens with interstate commerce if only in New York you're only using electric vehicles, and which again, almost impossible. What happens with interstate commerce?
Yeah.
What happens with trucks coming across?
Yeah.
I mean, what happens with and back and forth? I mean,
well, we won't have any gas stations here because it's been outlawed, so they won't be able to. By the way, I think I'm going to run for governor and demand we move to time travel by 2035. It's like the same thing because we're not there yet.
So a couple of other thoughts on this. One being, just think about like a working mother, right, who commutes and buys. We see this, right, and with men too. You buy like some cheap $2,200 car that's beat up, but you just need a vehicle to get you from A to B until you get back on your feet. That's not going to exist. Electric cars are not $2,200 when they're used. The second thing being,
you'd be riding on one of those scooters.
I don't hear a ton of talk about. Now I've heard, and I don't know this for sure, but that the parts or the components, the materials they need to make these batteries, are people draw the comparison to like a blood diamond, that they have like child slave labor in these other countries and mountains mining the materials to make these batteries. I'm surprised that's not talked about from a social impact. I don't want to say it, social impact.
I hate to say that it's almost like the argument against going electric is that it's never going to happen. I don't think that's a very good argument.
No,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Of course
But we just need to, like even the fire situation. If there's a fire, we just need a little more time to let technology move forward before everything is electric. The infrastructure, there's just so much to be done. And that's where the old-fashioned way of incentives, not just for consumers, but incentives for corporations and manufacturers.
But I think individual, whether it's governments or businesses, can set those dates of process if they can do that in certain aspects. But I also believe that as someone who's been through this, and we've tried never to do that in our regard, is to set that arbitrary deadline, which then strikes fear in people and anger and all the other pieces in which somebody says, well, you're not going to tell me to do this by next by 2025 or whatever the year is. And at that point, then it becomes, now you're scaring people. Now you got people, especially the elderly, the most vulnerable in terms of what they're thinking about. How am I going to do this in the next 3 or 4 years?
And you're right with the arbitrary. It's just like pick a date that's 10, 12 years away, and we'll just run with that. We don't know if it lines up or not. We did have scheduled, and I know we're moving on from this, Jeff Manasso from Fox News, but I only had him on because the Chicago City Council approved $51 million in funding for migrant housing as this continues. So can you give us an update on where we are? Obviously, to this point, I don't think any migrants have been bused to Oneida County or Onondaga County, but what's the latest as this story continues to envelop?
When Bill first, when I cited about the governor, I thought that's where Bill was going. We had another call with the governor the other day, which was really bizarre. And just from the point of, first of all, to answer, no, there are none. Nothing has been bused here. We have not been notified of that. I'm continually putting the orders in place because I have to renew those every 5 days, for what that's doing. If it's keeping it at that, then we'll keep issuing the orders. The other part of it is that a couple things that we are getting. There's been a class action lawsuit filed, downstate, but includes all of the counties upstate that have issued executive orders against this by some major hotels down in the Westchester and in New York City area. I don't know where that's going to go, but here we are. We're now into litigation of sorts with that. We had a call with the governor the other day, and when I say it was bizarre, I mean the statement that was made when we asked her point blank, which we couldn't ask because we can't seem to have a dialogue. This has become pattern with these governors that we have to do everything through Zoom and chat and all that stuff, which is crazy for elected officials to have to do this. And the major question was, are you going to be sending migrants to counties that have executive orders? Her answer, which threw us all for a loop, was, I'm not sending migrants anywhere. It's all from the city of New York. So what are you doing? Why are you on this call? Why are we talking to you?
Correct.
Why are we even having this conversation?
Why did she put out a statement about
how? And then she went on to
it'll
say,
help with unemployment.
I don't understand the states of emergency and what the orders are anyway. So we have a governor that's not only out of touch with the issue that's facing us, but literally does not understand, in my opinion, the power that she has as the governor to allow the mayor of New York City to dictate to other counties or even any level of government. So does that mean I can, and I know I'll get pushback on that, does that mean I can send people to New York?
Yeah, when the bus comes, just point them to Herkimer County.
Or I could send them to another county or to another area, and the governor's going to say, well, okay, no, that's what he did.
Who would we be sending, do you think?
I could fill a bus.
By the way,
I think, I could think of a few people.
So.
Yeah. And if Herkimer County doesn't like what I just said,
I wouldn't
you
do
just,
it. I would
you
not
just
do
send
it.
them
I would
someplace
not,
else.
I would not. Let me clarify. I would not do that.
You think someone might take this seriously? What was
yes,
just
I
said?
would never
Okay.
do that to Herkimer
All right.
County. That's where I was born. too, so.
Anything else you want to hit on? Rob says they're undocumented immigrants, not migrants. I don't know because they're basically being processed by the federal government.
We keep going through this discussion piece about it's no different and we welcome them and I still go back and have had numerous conversations. We're going to have more with Shelley Callahan and that's someone who knows. I mean, there is a difference. There is a process. It takes time. It takes a lot of work for people to do to get this process in place. The argument that the governor made they're fingerprinted at the border and we know who they are. Well, the county executive, my good friend Steve Newhouse, is the county executive in Orange County, and he said, Governor, on the call, he said, I don't know because nobody's telling me their names.
Right.
I don't know who's here. He goes, if they're sending them, tell me who they are.
Yeah.
Like we know, with other people that we place, but they're not doing that.
The problem is we're being told they're asylum seekers, and they may very well be.
They may very well.
And it's hard to pinpoint who we're dealing with. Are these all women and children who are searching a better life? Are some of these drug dealers? Probably at the end of the day, it's a combination of all of it.
But even that on asylum seekers, and that's not that we haven't had them in the past. We've never had them in mass.
Right.
That en masse.
By the way, look what they were doing in Syracuse, where it incentivized a hotel chain company, a company to evict people because they knew they could get a better rent. So they were just illegally evicting people.
Well, and those were, what I understood was that was a New York City owned.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Owned establishment.
Yep.
And that's where they were starting to look, as we understood it, from different sources and talking to colleagues, that they were trying to find those hotels in upstate and around all the way that were owned. And that's why Westchester Westchester, Orange, Rockland, Putnam, those counties.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of those hotels are owned by New York City.
Yeah. Okay.
And asylum
New York
seekers,
City businesses, not New York City.
But that's what I'm saying. But they were incentivized by money that the mayor was dangling out there.
The Albany County exec said that one of the hotels was offered like $3 million for the remainder of the year.
And so they're only getting $800 a room right now. So sorry, you guys got to go. That's what happened.
So, and the point, there was the New Hartford Hotel there had a big bus, and we did a story on this, and we talked about it after the fact. There was a big bus of migrant workers who were actually leaving that facility to go back to South America, and people were saying, oh, my gosh, this is the first bus of migrants that they sent up here that had come here, but actually they were people leaving.
Yeah.
So, but the point being, asylum seekers, they come here in theory to live here for the rest of their lives, right, and find a new home, where a migrant worker, there's a system in place. They come up here for this month and this month. They make X amount of dollars, and then they go home afterward. There's a significant difference.
There's a difference. And there's a difference because they can work because they have been cleared to do that.
Yep.
And there's a plan what happens.
These people
after.
have not. And the governor keeps saying, we're trying to get this changed so that we can get them to work because we have all these jobs. And it's like, well, what are we doing with our people?
Right.
And look, that's we welcome, we want to continue to do that. But, you're not the other thing is, Congress, especially dealing with the debt ceiling and everything else, is not going to change the immigration laws in the next 30 days. They're just not.
Might not happen in the next 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest,
they're not going to do that.
County Executive, thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Anthony Picetti.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. It's really going to be a beautiful weekend. So great weekend for a large yard sale. It's the world's largest yard sale tomorrow at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds with Town Square Media. Jackie Izzo, the mayor of Rome, is on quickly. I wanted to throw this question at you. Are you there, Mayor? Good morning.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. David says, gang tags, graffiti, all over the city, reported on 311, but nothing happens. Is 311 actually working? How would you respond to that?
It absolutely is working, and I believe the ticket he may be talking about was graffiti on the underpass of New York State Route 49. We had to submit that to the state because it's not our property, to see what they wanted to do about it. They contacted us and said, we really don't handle the graffiti on any of our structures, but you could feel free to go ahead and take care of it. We did that, and as of yesterday, I believe all the graffiti has been removed.
Okay. Mayor, we
so
appreciate
it's done
it.
now. It's gone.
We appreciate the time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy the weather.
You do the same. Thanks. That was a question from David. All right. I want to tell you about Omni Surgery Center. If you're in pain, you do not have to live with the pain. Their website is killpain.com. People travel from all over to here for what I think is the brilliant Dr. Hyder, who is just conducting an incredible service to the area to help people eliminate pain in a way that avoids all those opioids. Call them today at 315-765-8448. 315-765-8448. It's the Omni Surgical Center, where modern technology meets cutting-edge surgery. Go to the website, killpain.com. Killpain.com for the Omni Surgery Center.
Have a good weekend.
From the
Have a great
Stanley
week.
Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
It's a much stronger jobs report than expected. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The Labor Department says there were 339,000 new jobs added last month. The forecast for around 190,000.
There were jobs created in professional and business services, government, healthcare, construction, transportation and warehousing, and social assistance. The unemployment rate was forecast to nudge slightly higher. Instead, it rose to 3.7%. The unemployment rate of 3.4% in April and March was the lowest reading since 1969. The job market has gradually cooled from earlier red-hot growth, but it still remains robust. Ginny Coselda, Fox News.
President Biden addresses the nation at 7 p.m. Eastern about the deal now passed by Congress to raise the nation's debt limit to avoid debt default. The Senate vote last night was 63-36. The Senate earlier yesterday voted against President Biden's plan to forgive some student loan debt.
With support from Democrats Joe Manchin and John Tester, along with Democrat-turned-independent Kyrsten Sinema, the Senate advanced a resolution blocking President Biden's plan to forgive student loan debt for millions of Americans. The president is expected to quickly veto the measure. Republicans have relied on the Congressional Review Act to attempt to overturn executive branch regulations requiring just a simple majority in the Senate, though overriding a veto still needs support from 2/3 of the House and Senate. The Supreme Court has already heard arguments challenging student debt forgiveness. An opinion is expected later this month. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
There's an arrest in a carjacking and murder spree in San Jose and Milpitas, California. 3 people are dead, 1 stabbed, 2 pedestrians hit by a car, 3 other people are hurt. Police say a man was arrested in a neighborhood near one of those stabbings. No word on any possible motive. The man hasn't been identified publicly. We don't know if he may have committed other crimes as well. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, you've heard me talk about Henry Repeating Arms and their incredible line of 200 rifles and shotguns. This company's owned by a family of true patriots who are so dedicated to our country that all of their products are made in America or they are not made at all. And they're also so loyal to their customers that they provide award-winning customer service. And by the way, they back their firearms with a lifetime warranty. Now, Henry makes a line of tribute edition rifles. You got to check these out. I love them. They honor the unsung heroes who serve our great nation, including active military, veterans, law enforcement, and sheriffs and firefighters and EMS, and so many more. Now, you can check them out for yourself. Go to their website, henryusa.com/tribute. And there's the Henry's Deluxe engraved limited edition rifles that are the crown jewels of any collection. Once an edition sells out, it's gone forever. Go to henryusa.com. You get a free catalog. You get free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog, free decals, and you're going to love these firearms.
Get ready for an evening of jaw-dropping illusions, mystifying mind magic, and hilarious routines when the legendary duo of Magic, Penn and Teller dispatch their favorite magicians to your town. Don't miss Penn and Teller's The Foolers, bringing TV's trickiest magicians live to the stage at the Stanley Theater for an unforgettable, unbelievable event on Saturday, September 16th. Get your tickets now at thestanley.org before they disappear, or call 315-724-4000.
Memorial Day savings are here, and that means time to upgrade for summer. Adirondack Home Furniture is overstocked in every department, so come take advantage of their amazing deals on sofas, dining sets, bedrooms, outdoor poly furniture, and more. Right now, take advantage of their lowest prices of the year on select items, or 4 years, 0% interest financing. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Something for every room, any size, inside and out. From modern to farmhouse, rustic to transitional, with free local delivery and a professional, knowledgeable staff, you'll have your dream home in no time. Plus, salespeople are non-commissioned, so you'll enjoy a relaxing, no-pressure experience. Celebrate Memorial Day and save big at Adirondack Home Furniture for living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, home office, and patio at their lowest prices of the year. Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com.
For the past 25 years, the Good News Center has been committed to building relationships. Better relationships for marriage, better family relationships, and a better relationship with God while promoting self-change. Hi, this is Judy Hauk, Executive Director at the Good News Center. Our programs are designed to support you at your most challenging times. Whether it is marriage difficulties, addiction issues, suffering the loss of a loved one, or caring for someone close, we can offer you support. Or strengthen your faith journey by attending one of our spiritual renewal programs, such as a Bible study or Theology Uncorked. Our support programs are available in person or via Zoom. They are mentored by peers, cost nothing, and are confidential. For more information about all of our programs, visit us at thegoodnewscenter.org or call us at 315-735-6210. The Good News Center, building relationships for over 25 years.
Buy direct from the manufacturer and make a splash with a new spa from Strong Spas, now open in Sangertown Square. Choose from over 100 ready-to-deliver spas in stock with new inventory weekly and prices slashed to move fast. Visit the largest spa showroom in New York State and ask about their many financing options. You have to see this showroom to believe it. Strong Spas. Experience the difference in person. Sangertown Square, New Hartford, or online at strongspas.com. Hurry, these spas won't last.